We're gonna keep this train going. We got some
Thick Boy Nation, large and in charge.
Yeah,
those things ain't coming back.
We cried at us like
Beat up to my nuts. I got a lot of fertilizer.
What kind of podcast is this?
You want to pet my dog? You love this neighborhood.
Take my money.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
I would love to hear your story.
Like, not me.
This isn't gonna go well.
We're in the old donuts. There are a lot of old people sitting in there. Wait,
Do I take a
How many days do I get off?
air balloon?
Yeah.
It's a change day in our lives.
Welcome to the PM&A podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to the PM&A podcast.
What is going on?
What is going on? Number 33.
Are we sure this time?
Yeah, I just looked it up as you were playing the intro music. I looked it up.
33 by.
Sometimes we get it wrong.
We always get
I was
it wrong.
like, oh god.
Always.
Guys, thanks for listening to the PMA podcast. This episode, as always, is brought to you by Always Bearded Lifestyle. They want you to take care of your beard, and it's Christmas.
Yeah, don't chop it off.
So don't chop it off. Don't think you gotta get rid of it. You can take care of your beard with proper, well-formulated, with natural, clean certified ingredients, beard grooming products.
Where can you get that? Those beard products?
Always Bearded has Facebook. They are on Amazon. They have an Instagram.
And they're in stores too, right? Like local stores.
They have their own store up in Toronto and Barrie and stuff, but they're in like local products. But like you can order it online. Who doesn't like ordering things online? You can order things online, make it easier. Anyway,
Santa doesn't order things online.
No, he doesn't. But so guys, they're CertClean certified ingredients. They have the beard oil, the beard wax, and of course the beard cream, which is like the best product ever.
the best.
Like it's amazing.
It's really good.
It's good for hydrating and
Good
it's
for
important.
what ails you.
Yeah, so it's really, really good. Thank you, guys. And Always Bearded will take care of your beard. Ernie, anything else?
Yeah, Jer. What'd you get for me for Christmas? Let's just roll
I'm
it
not going
down.
to tell you. No.
Did you get me socks?
No.
Did you get me a, let's just say a cell phone case?
No.
How about a throw pillow?
No.
Well, let me tell you how I can help you. The good people at TeePublic, they have a website that can help you out. Since we love to order things online,
Right.
they can give you a throw pillow, and not only will it just be a throw pillow, it will have the
The
PM&A
podcast logo.
Now, let's just say you want to get a little bit more, not
I don't wanna.
intellectual,
I
but
don't
let's
wanna.
just say,
I don't want to.
you're like, the PM&A logo's cool, but I want to get more into the podcast because, I really like it. You can get yourself a Blarblux coffee cup.
Yeah, so our jargon is we're making products off of our jargon, and it's pretty rad.
Yeah.
So go to TeePublic.
TeePublic podcast, all you do is you type in the
It's not podcast, TeePublic.
Sorry, T-podcast, and you punch in the podcast,
Okay.
and you type in the search PM&A
Right.
podcast,
Right.
and you will see our logo pop up, and you will also see the Blarblux logo come up, and you can choose between the two, and you can put it on just about everything but a stuffed animal.
Guys, we're not pocketing this money. All this money goes back into the podcast,
Into
and
the
then we're also
podcast.
donating some of the money towards charities like Lions Foundation dog training, where they do national dog training for service dogs, autism dogs, and stuff. We're putting the money back into there, so we're not putting it in our pocket or anything.
Yeah,
So.
no, it's not going to support a guy in California to
All right, we're not
get
going to go
dog
there.
food for
anyway,
his Great Dane.
Anyway, thanks for listening. We would like to introduce Emily Rolson. What's up? How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Very good. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well,
Let's let her self-introduce herself.
yeah.
first.
So, first off, we're having this conversation a lot these days about feminism. What is feminism?
To me, in its simplest
Yeah.
form, is just the process of women obtaining equality socially, politically, all throughout sectors of life with
Well,
men.
It's complicated, right? It's not something easy. So I looked it up too, and that's exactly what it is. Is they said it's equality of sexes, socially, politically, and it's like an ideology as well. It's not something like it's just like something simple. So
I didn't look it up, but all I think of when I hear feminism is girls yelling at guys to shut up.
well, that's not it. Right?
I know it's not it, but that's what the first thing that comes to mind is those girls. That one chick with the really short hair, and she's like screaming and pointing at her finger.
So why is that? Like that's like is that a negative or a positive view or like?
It's definitely a negative view.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're
it's a
not gonna
stigma for sure.
Absolutely. You're not going to get men listening to you if you're just screaming at them. Regardless if you're a man or a woman. If someone's just screaming at you all the time, you're not going to want to hear what they have to say.
Right.
And it's a lot of equality. Obviously, like maybe in the 60s and the 50s, obviously things were just completely what's the word I'm looking for?
Jaded?
Not jaded, but men in
Sexist?
themselves. Yes, those are.
They were a little all of the family-ish.
Yeah, it was very negative, and it's just a very toxic way of like living a life and having a wife, and like the view of them being in the home and not having a job, and that was so. It's interesting how it's come so far, and it's like it just makes more sense. Like why
For them to be in the kitchen, is that what you're saying?
like
It makes more
toxic
sense.
masculinity. Like I don't understand. Like we were talking about some articles, specifically that one judge that basically told her, "Well, you didn't get raped. You just didn't close your legs or something, right?"
Whoa.
So like, yeah. But he backtracked on it, right?
Well, he did, but how much of that is his own sentiment and realizing what he said was wrong, or how much of that is him being told he has to say that to keep his job or to keep the public quiet?
Because he's like a weird, like a hardcore judge, right?
Yeah, in Alberta.
A judge said that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Alberta.
Alberta,
justice.
not just like
Speaking of overpowering men, did you see that Santa Claus that got fired for all those? He was getting handsy with women in pictures.
what?
You didn't see that? He was like reaching around and like doing like. You remember that funny one that we saw that comedian one time where he put his arm around the girl and he's like
Pretending to punch her.
punch it and punch. Remember that funny thing? Well, there was a Santa Claus that got fired because he was getting a little handsy in some of his pictures, like
Well,
pretend.
A lot of people are getting fired
Yeah,
in the last like 2 years.
yeah. But it's about being held responsible or accountable for your actions, right?
True.
It's pretty gross. Like, how do we know how this all kind of started? What was the beginning of like maybe was it the last 2 years? Like it was a hashtag
The Me Too movement.
the Me Too movement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know how that kind of like came about or?
Well, I'm not an expert in the Me Too movement, but my understanding is that it started in the music and film industries, and it was women speaking out about their experiences in the business, being sexually assaulted and abused and bullied and belittled by men, and having to exchange, sexual favors to get parts in movies, and more complicated things than that, I'm sure. But those are just some examples. So mistreatment of women in the industry.
Yeah.
Where they weren't really gaining as much dominance or prominence in the film
So they
field
had
or
to
industry.
do that to get ahead.
Yeah,
Ugh.
Yeah, but look at
the system is set up against women. Essentially, is what it was, and men weren't being held accountable for the way they were treating women, and that's not fair because in any sector of work, women and men and everyone else should be just treated equally.
Yeah, you don't need like a Mad Men scenario, right?
Well, see, that's the thing. That was how it was back then. Like, misogyny. Sorry, that was the word I was looking for. Right? Misogynist is like.
Isn't that the people that rub you and they get paid?
No, that is not. No, that's something different. So, I used to work at a place, and I won't say, but this was maybe like 10 years ago. And
McDonald's.
No, it wasn't McDonald's. And only one woman could work there and would work there because it was such a toxic environment, and because she could give it back just as much as she could get it. And I remember hearing the boss at the time who worked there said, "I can't hire any more women for this job because there'll be lawsuits because of the way that we treat each other, the way like our work. What's the word I'm looking for?
Environment?
Like, the environment. Yeah. The way it was set up is just like it wasn't set up for women to feel welcome or not subjectified.
So the solution was to turn women away rather than deal with the issues that men were creating.
Yes.
See, we had that issue at our place, but the main issue with us is if we get single moms who are coming to work for us, it's just not going to work because it has nothing to do with the job environment anymore because we have actually changed that. It's the hours. Like for single moms to do like a 12 to 14 hour day, it's just not going to work,
but
right?
that's kind of a separate issue, I think.
I was it was nice to see finally, just because, and then every now and then you'd hear the horror story of them coming and say, hey, I feel like I'm being picked on, and you worry if it's them actually being picked on, because when I first started, there were a couple days that I went home crying, and you're just like, yeah, I don't know if it's because you're female. It might have just been because you just backed up into the excavator and you probably didn't appreciate that.
Like, is that maybe it?
I don't even know if it was that, but yeah, no, we had a couple females that felt like they were getting picked on, but I don't think it was that, but they're gonna play that card, right? Because they can, and then you go into, but but here's the thing: you go into that scenario and you look into why they were getting yelled at, and it was for those reasons, but they're gonna play that card, right?
I don't know. That seems a little far-fetched. Like, why?
Seems a little
You never got
sexist.
yelled at. You never got yelled at when you were at Fry Furphy.
Yeah, but what you're saying is, so they're getting yelled at and they're going to use it as an excuse?
Mm.
Oh. What do you think about that, Emily?
Well, I wasn't there, so I don't know, but I do have my own workplace experiences with being treated a certain way, and it was, in fact, because I was a woman. So, fine, maybe there are some women who like to play the disadvantage card or or use it as an excuse or whatever word you want to call it, but the problem still exists, and it's the same argument that men want to use, right? Oh, well, it's not all men that sexually assault women. Well, it's not all women who play the card, right? So we can't call all the male apples bad because of a few when it's more than a few bad ones.
But that's where I was going with it, though. Like, I'm on health and safety, so it's my job to make sure that everybody's doing their job properly and safely. So when I go out and I try and justify what this person was saying to the girl, I'm like, was it necessary? Like, would you have done that if it was Phil or John or whoever? And they're like, yeah. And I'm just like, so you're in that area where you don't want to coddle them too much, because then it looks like you're just, you're babying them, and they won't appreciate that any more than just you trying to, swoop in to try and take care of the situation, right?
But I think the thing about bias is we don't always realize it's there, right? So they really don't know if it were that same situation, if it were a man, if they would say the exact same thing. And I'm not saying these women didn't do anything wrong, because I wasn't there, but I just mean you can't just always assume that you're not going to be biased, because we all have it. All of us.
It's like an unknown, unconscious bias. Yeah.
And that's the thing too. Like my industry as well it is a lot of rough talk and a lot of rough. But most of the girls that we hire are aware of the situation, that you're not in a you're not in an office building where everybody's kind of muted. You're dealing with 60-year-olds that like were
Gross,
around
like
when the
gross,
wheel wasn't
like even I
round.
think they're gross. Like I worked there for 8 months because I just needed a job in between, and like they basically hire like people out of jail. Like it's not like they're hiring like upstanding citizens that are trying to like work on getting their PhDs or degrees in certain social sciences. There's no offense to you or any, but like they're not hiring,
a lot of times,
they're hiring some rough dudes.
They're not theologians, no.
Well, it's not even just workplaces like that. When I worked at CFB Borden, when I was teaching the cadet music up there, so I was the female.
You were in Borden?
Obviously. Yeah, I was.
No way.
Yeah, I taught music at the cadet camp in
in Blackdown.
Yeah, Blackdown
Nice.
CTC.
So you were in not Juliet. You were
Kilo Company. Yeah, pipes and drums.
He did too.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I was in Juliet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, wow.
Yeah, I know. I know. I was blowing my horn. We got a nice air conditioned building, and you guys got nothing.
We get an air conditioner.
Oh, you got the building too?
Yeah, we have an air
did you?
conditioned building.
Oh, nice.
That was a little bit of time ago.
That was quite a bit of
Soundproof
time
walls and
ago.
everything.
Time ago.
Oh yeah.
That was the one. Is it still where it's on the other side of the mess hall? Like there's the mess hall, and then if you go
yes.
march farther up the road on the left hand side, there's the
Yeah, and the frat forest is like
yeah.
right there. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. We still call it that, by the way. Or I don't know, I haven't been there in a while. But anyway, when I was working there, I was the cadet instructor, and my first serial cadets were all boys. And so, well, not all boys, there were 2 girls. And so, like, the boys were kind of starting to act weird, like they were giggling, not listening to me, and I caught one of them passing a note, and I was like, I don't even want to see what's on that note. So I just didn't really say anything, and then one of my students, the female student, came up to me at the end of class one day to my desk, and she said, just so you know, the notes they're passing are about you. And I was like, oh, interesting. And so she told me that they have nicknames for me and that the boys talk about me when I'm not around. So they had a nickname for me. It was CI Hottie. And I'm going to say, my friends that know about this are going to hear this and tease me because they tease me about that. But anyway, so that's what the boys called me. And I was obviously uncomfortable being in a class with all of these like preteen and teenage boys thinking this way and talking this way and doing it while I'm trying to maintain authority in my classroom. So I went to my boss, who is a man, and what he said to me when I asked him to deal with it was, well, you're a pretty woman teaching a group of teenage boys, so what else do you expect is going to happen?
Was this an officer?
This was an officer, yes. Yeah, that's what he said
How are
to
you
me.
surprised?
I was 19 years old.
How are you surprised? Like,
Because our officer tolerated nothing.
dude, 20 years ago, one of the head officers at Blackdown was like creeping in people's houses
Listen,
and taking their
we're
underwear.
not
Did
talking-
You know about
we're
that?
not
Yeah,
talking-
I was a cadet the year that he was arrested.
We're not talking about the
How you
what
not
was it? The
surprised?
RC, the R. Our something. He was apparently he was sleeping with our master corporal or something.
Anyway,
like that.
I'm just saying, how are you not surprised? Like, but
No, but our
terrible.
officer was an older guy, and he wouldn't have tolerated anything like that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I was 19 and never really been in a position like that before, and I didn't feel comfortable addressing like 11 horny teenagers just by myself. So I thought, that's what he's there for. He was the platoon commander. So ultimately, those kids, when they're not in my classroom, are his responsibility. Yeah. And he just didn't think it was an issue. Yeah. So I just had to wait it out until.
So was that 3 months of just dealing with that?
No, I didn't have them for 3 months.
So they were only like 2 to 3 weeks.
They were just basics. Yeah. So I only had them for 3 weeks, but still, that was like a weekend. So I had to go 2 weeks of not being able to
2 days.
maintain.
That's 1 day more than it needed to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Was that like the first time you kind of felt that kind of like segregation or that kind of like feeling of like
you're on your own island kind of thing?
I don't know. Like I don't. Yeah. It's not my. I don't know because I don't remember. Like I can't possibly quantify every single thing that's ever happened to me like that. But
that was one that stood out the most.
That's one that stood out the most. I have many more. But
that's I don't think men know that's a common story. Like I think I was watching this documentary where the woman was speaking. I think it was a TED Talk, and she said, "How many women here have felt unsafe walking alone at night?" And almost 95% of the crowd put up their hand, and like I was shocked by that.
I'm afraid of the dark, so
and I think a lot of the men in the crowd were also shocked by that. And then she said, "How many of you are actually being followed and being harassed?" And the same amount of people put up their hand again. Like I don't think maybe our culture as men know how bad it is, and so we're just like oh whatever, just get over it. But we don't live like the woman I'm speaking about that I used to work with. Like if I were to put myself in her shoes. And say like, okay, if I was the only man working in that field and they were treating me that way, like how uncomfortable I would be to go to work every day, feeling like being subjectified and having to kind of have a smart ass comment every time they said something or be able to like tell them to like piss off. Like I couldn't imagine.
But the problem is though that probably wouldn't happen if you were one guy in a workplace full of women. The harassment probably would not happen to the same degree it happens to women because a man in a room full of women is ecstatic and a woman in a room full of men is terrified.
That's a really good point.
So
how far do you think it goes, like the bias? Like so I was doing a little bit of research, and one of the questions I wanted to ask is like, so laws in like society, like most laws kind of like help out both. We call it genders? Is that or sexes? What's the proper way that you think to?
Well, sexes defines like biological. Yeah. I prefer genders just because there's so many variations of gender and sexuality out there, and I think that I have too much of my own thing going on. I don't have the energy, and it's not my place to be gatekeeping how someone feels about their body. So I'd prefer the term gender. But
so would you agree that most laws apply to all genders?
I would, on paper, yes, not in practice.
Yeah, that's probably like I was thinking too. Like when like you legitimize laws and stuff like that, it's supposed to like have freedom for all Canadians and the Charter of Rights, and it's for all genders, not to like persecute one or not help out the other. So like I that was like a big argument that I was reading about, saying like feminist or like that term, they feel like not all laws apply to both genders or all genders, sorry, whatever you think.
I think they do apply. I think they should apply to all genders. I don't think in practice they're put towards all genders. I mean, the statistics about women who experience gender-based violence is overwhelmingly against women, and that's not to say that men don't have their issues. They do, but to negate that, just to negate the statistics isn't helping anybody. Women are 10 times more likely than men to be victims of police-reported sexual assault, and they account for 92% of all sexual assault victims.
Good God. Mm-hmm. And that's probably just the ones that are...
Those are just the ones that are police-reported.
Like, and a lot of them, would you agree, are not reported?
I don't know. I don't have the numbers on that one.
I'm pretty sure I was reading a lot. So there's a large percentage of ones that aren't even reported because of, like, embarrassment. They don't want to have
deterrence, not going to be believed, the process that you have to go through, especially when the odds are that you won't even be believed, and most rapists don't even see any time in jail, don't see any form of punishment, and so what's the point in going through all of that?
It's interesting. So, like, even for Canada for right now, we have a lot of, like, talk about, like, immigrants and people coming over, and they have their own religious laws.
Those people?
That phrase, those people, unfortunately. So, a lot of their religious rights and a lot of their texts and stuff, they are not equal with gender. Like, especially Islam is not, there's no equal rights. Like,
well, Christianity isn't equal with gender either. I got harassed on the street yesterday by Christians telling me that I was dressed like a slut.
Yeah, what Christians though?
Well, they say they're Christians. That's the thing, right? Not every Muslim is sexist either.
I don't know.
Do you know every Muslim?
I know a lot of Muslims, and I've read the Quran, and they're not really like too fond of like their women. They don't treat them like great.
Well, neither does the Bible. I was raised Anglican. I've read that thing all over the place. I know all about it, and I didn't like what I read. And so, yeah.
But I think religion in general it held a little bit of bias, like in the Old Testament kind of thing. But a lot of the New Testament is like Jesus hung out with the worst of the worst. Like he hung out with prostitutes and beggars, and so. Whoever was yelling at you was probably like a weird like
he did,
cult.
Apparently, but religion is man-made, right? So
well, no, it's not man-made. I'd say it's spirit-made.
A person wrote it down, though.
Yeah.
Whether or not you believe there's a God, I'm not trying to tell you there isn't one. I'm just saying he didn't write the Bible. A person did.
Yes, he did.
So that's their interpretation of what he thinks the world should be like, whether he exists or not.
Yeah, it's unfortunately a lot of the denominations have an argument. So, for instance, Baptists would say that women aren't allowed to have a leadership role in the church and preach, when there's other denominations like Mennonites or
I don't know anything about that.
We went to Mennonites, so you can't dance.
So, but the thing is, like, there's different views on gender based off of. But so my thing going back to Islam is like, I don't think that they treat their women right. Like they make them wear these. There's
Do you think
statistic.
they make them wear that though?
So the hijab and the headscarf and stuff, Muslim women feel like themselves that they are empowered by wearing it, so they should wear it. But some people think that it's like they're getting like put in a corner and made to wear.
They gotta wear the beekeeper outfit.
Yeah.
Well, women felt the same way about red lipstick, and so during the second wave of feminism, when they were burning all the stuff, they were burning bras, they were getting rid of their lipstick, their fake eyelashes. I'm wearing all three of those things right now.
Yeah.
But those women saw that as oppressive and being forced to wear it. So I don't think that gender roles and things that certain genders are binary to, I don't think that has anything to do with religion. I think that's something that's seen with people generally. I don't think that has anything to do with religion or race.
But do you think it's wrong that they're forced to wear their scarves and hijabs?
I don't have an opinion. I don't know enough to formulate a proper opinion on that. I prefer to stick to statistics that apply to Canada as a general population, not to a specific group.
Yeah, well, that's a very good answer.
Thank you.
I just find it so hard when because they try to come to Canada and they try to like have a life, but they're still kind of forced under these rules that are cultural. Like they don't like it. I don't know. I wouldn't like it being forced to wear something, and like a lot of them, they're not even allowed to drive in their country. Like they're not like there's funny videos of women like driving and like flipping off the camera because they're not allowed to drive, but they're just driving because they want to feel empowered. Like that's a thing over in like Abu Dhabi and Dubai and like places like that where like, you know, these men just rule, and like they have these like all the oil money, and like they're like, well, they just rule their women and treat them like garbage. So I just you know, I feel maybe I just feel bad. I'm walking around the grocery store and I see a woman in her hijab and I'm like, that sucks. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
I think different things empower different people. Who am I to tell a woman that follows a religion I know absolutely nothing about what she can and cannot wear? Because then I'm just as bad as the apparent oppressive male telling her to wear it, right?
Right, right.
So where did you? What was the context that this guy decided to yell that at you? Like, where were you?
I was in Starbucks, actually, and I was walking out on the corner of King and University, right where I go to school, and him and a friend were standing out there with Bible verses on their like on big signs.
Weird.
Yeah, very weird. Telling me, told me I was dressed like a slut. I said, don't talk to me. He came very close to me. I said, don't you dare touch me.
This is in Waterloo.
This was in Waterloo, yeah. He said, and then I just ignored him. I don't know what he said after that. But this one girl, he was like really harassing her. And she said, leave me alone. I can wear whatever I want. He said, no, you can't. Jesus says you can't. I'm like, I don't think anywhere in the Bible
say that
does it say I
anywhere.
can't wear Lululemon tights. I've never read that once in any of my
Jesus,
Bible
I guess my
studies.
wife's going to hell too.
I'm going to hell too.
We'll see you there.
I like my Lululemon pants.
Well, they're comfortable.
They are.
Yeah, it's like that's definitely like a weirdo. Like,
But here's the
not
thing.
to get into
Here's
religious.
the thing, though. If you showed up wearing Lululemon pants at Blarblux, would they have said that to you?
No, they wouldn't have.
They wouldn't have said that to the bald bearded guy.
I think it's the fact that she's wearing pants like mine, like tights. I think that's what it is. But again, I don't know why that matters.
Obviously, they have an issue with it. That's what it sounds like to me. They personally have an issue with it. They can't come to terms with their own weirdness.
Do you think this would have been one of those? Sorry. Do you think this would have been one of those groups that if they've seen a gay couple walk in, they would have said something to them?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, see, that's just too far.
But I think their specific one, the Bible verses that they were wearing on those signs were directed at women. Like, I didn't read all of them, but because I was trying to, walk the other way.
Right.
But the one said she who takes pleasure, or she who, I don't even know what it is. It's been so long since I've read that stuff. She who, I don't even know, something about pleasure, and it was like woman oriented. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it takes two people in that kind of a pleasure, but that's fine.
See, that would have been an Instagram moment for me. I had a picture of it. I take pleasure in my coffee.
Not to get into a religious thing, but a lot of people can say
no.
I won't. I promise. A lot of people can take something out of context completely because they're not really because like when I'm just gonna say this once, then we'll move on for religion. But like when you're reading a Bible verse, you have to understand who wrote it, when they wrote it, and who they were writing it to. Those are three different things you have to read it, and that's called hermeneutics. And when you're understanding Bible verses and stuff, you can't just take it out of context and move. And then because you could say it, you could say the Bible says smoke marijuana. Mm-hmm. You could get the Bible to say anything you want. You can take it out of context. Like that's like any conversation you have. Like that's like having a podcast and someone saying, "Hey Hitler," and then so they start yelling at people because they think, you know what I mean?
Because you're the fattest, most racist comic in the world.
Yeah. So you can take anything out of context and splice it and make it say anything you want. That's just disgusting.
Look at that.
They always seem to forget the convenient stuff. They always seem to forget, love thy neighbor and who those of you without sin are the first to cast the stone or whatever that one is. Like, they never have those ones on signs.
Not positive.
No, of course not. How about we just leave people alone and let them do whatever they're doing?
What was the name of the that group? They were the ones that wrote on those signs that Jesus hates fags.
God hates fags. That's the Westboro Baptist Church.
So she converted, eh?
So one of the daughters did.
Yeah.
Yes. And now I think she's, I don't know, what have you heard of it?
No.
So, they're like this crazy cult. So you probably heard of them, the Westboro Baptist Church.
Yes.
They would go and picket like soldiers, like funerals and stuff, like disgusting things. But it's interesting. Well, it's like it's
the soldiers who fight for God and country.
Yeah. Like it's just a skewed way of thinking. It's fear, and they have a problem with it themselves, and they're just like, how can you live with hate every day? Like, wake up, I'm gonna go make a sign and go harass women down on King Street.
Yeah, that's a great way to tell the whole world you're not getting laid.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. They're having problems with themselves, and that's how they're gonna formulate their argument, by being mad and then pointing it out. I'm like, listen, buddy, tap the brakes. Like,
so after this guy said this to you, was there anybody else around there that was?
Oh, it was a whole crowd there. He didn't say much to me. Like I said, I've gotten pretty good at not returning the attention, because I find that just makes me feel worse. It makes them feel like they have something, and I prefer to keep it straight and to the point and keep walking.
Yeah, not because the more you talk to them, the more they'll feed it, and they get like,
the closer they come too. I don't want that.
Yeah, it's just,
I carry mace in my bag, but I'd prefer not to have to use it.
So did anybody say anything to him after he said that to you?
No.
Really?
Well, I don't even think I saw. No, they were standing outside of the Starbucks on the corner.
I mean, you took off.
I was walking the other way. Yeah. They just I was standing at the crosswalk waiting to cross, and so the light came on and I went, but they stayed there. I was with a male friend, and he didn't say anything, but
I would have stomped him out.
Yep. I'm horrible for that.
Yeah. I got a bad temper when it comes to people being stupid, and also being stupid about something I know a lot about. I'd try to talk to them, but I'd look around and then I'd nod to you, and we'd probably choke them out.
But the thing I think is with a lot of women too, like that whole being harassed on the street, whether it's catcalling, which some people for some reason think is a compliment, or having Bible verses shouted at me, like that's just it's part of being a woman just walking down the street. And if I stopped and gave attention to every single one of those men and sometimes women yelling those things at me, like I wouldn't have any breath left. So
sweet Jesus. That is and that's like what I was saying about like that TED Talk thing. We don't know. Men don't know. We really don't know, but it's bad. Like the culture out there.
Have you ever heard of Daniel Sloss? He's a Scottish comedian. He did a fantastic show. I'd recommend it. It's on HBO. He did a fantastic show. My sister and I went to see him when we were in Scotland this past summer. Cool. And he did a show called X, and he was talking about that same thing. And the one thing that he said that really stuck with me, and this was so refreshing, and the men who want to be against feminism say, oh, well, women don't want us in the conversation. That's not true. It was so refreshing for me as a feminist to sit there and to listen to this man articulate a pro-feminist opinion in a way that I had never thought about it before. It was very refreshing. We want men in the conversation. That's what we want. And he did this fantastic part, and you can watch it if you want or not. It's very good though. But the one line that he had that really stuck with me was that if you think the women in your life aren't affected by these issues, because he was referring to rape, sexual assault, and harassment and all that kind of thing, he said it's not because they're not being affected, it's because they don't trust you enough to talk about it with you.
Whoa.
And he learned from that personally, and he said that was the worst thing he ever learned about himself.
Wow.
He did a fantastic job of phrasing that whole part of his show.
Wow,
it was very well done.
That's very well said. Hey, it probably, I know how Ernie's take on it. If anything happened, if anyone said anything or did anything to Ernie's wife, they'd be
game over.
They'd be in trouble. Ernie's,
you'd have some words for sure.
Yeah, like Jocelyn would work at Moose Fanooski since she was a server, and she'd always tell me stories like guys would be like drunk and hitting on her as a server, because it's like an easy way to talk to a girl who's coming up to you and serving you drinks. Or sometimes they would give her number, and I'd say, "Give me the number." I'd get mad about it.
Don't trap us at work. I hate that. That happens to me, and I just work at McDonald's all the time. Like, don't trap me. I have to be nice to you.
Exactly.
I can't tell you to fuck off when I'm at work.
Yes, like,
don't put me in that position.
You're doing your job.
Yeah.
You're not hitting on the guy. Like, you're handing him his drink, saying, "Have a great day." And that could be, there's the lunatics out there that go, "Whoa, I gotta go back.
She likes me.
I gotta go back in there and give her my
See
number."
how much ice she put in this thing?
It's
a sign.
Police.
Meant to be.
Yeah,
there's no version of a love story where it's like, oh, well, your dad just, well, that's like, oh, that's a narrative we need to stop putting in people's minds. Oh, well, your dad just wouldn't take no for an answer. There's nothing romantic about that kind of persistence. In my opinion.
So, Danielle was in the pool when I met her first, and she said no. And then I chased her around the pool because she kept saying no, because she said her friend was there to meet me. And her friend told her that she was supposed to stay away because that's who she was there to see was me. And I was like,
"Oh,
well,
but
I don't want to
that's
see
not
her."
the same, though.
Okay, good.
You're not like a stranger. It's because she didn't want to be a bad friend. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
I wasn't
but,
stranger
that's
danger.
what it sounds
No,
like. That's not. Yeah, that's not.
It wasn't like you were at a random public pool.
No.
You were chasing this girl around.
Yeah. Definitely should have specified that one.
Like, that's a little different circumstance.
I'm thinking, oh shit.
But like, I don't know, man. It's so difficult because you and I think I said this to you before a little while ago. First time I started, we were hanging out band, and I said to you, "Well, what is feminism?" And you were explaining it to me, and I said, "Well, that makes sense. Like, I was a man who was raised by predominantly a woman." And then you gave an example, well, that doesn't make any sense because I know a woman that was predominantly raised by a woman, and she's not a feminist. Do you remember that conversation?
No, not.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's all right. It's okay. You don't have to remember it. It's all right.
You're not that memorable.
It's okay.
No,
I'm not.
It's not.
So, but it's interesting, though, like, we were raised with, like, how to treat a woman. Like, what's going on? Like, how are men not clicking in? Like, we're a generation of men were raised by women. Like, a lot of we don't have all great relationships with our dads.
True.
I don't understand it. But if you look at the psychology of it, if you look at the really, like, it's so Is it maybe women not raising the men properly? Is it because like you look at like serial killers and stuff? Like I'm not gonna say names, but there's a predominantly it is like serial killers. They have bad like so.
Look at Jason. He had a really good relationship with his mom.
That's a fictional character.
Didn't Jeffrey Dahmer have a good relationship with his mom?
Like a really good one?
I think so.
Norman Bates.
He's not real.
But Dahmer though, he was predominantly killing men and trying to make them into like.
Oh, that's true. I guess.
And he was trying to make like sex zombies. But I'm talking about the dudes that are like, like Kimball. Arthur
Slice.
Kimball? No. Anyway, I'm gonna get the name wrong. But a large percentage of serial killers that kill women, they have toxic relationships with their mothers, or the mothers treated them terribly, and so they're raised with this jaded kind of look, and then it gets into this vicious cycle. Like in the early years of like diagnostic, like when you're growing up. And you're understanding and you're developing in those prime years, if you're not given those right core competencies to be a person, and you're skewed and you're like a toxic environment where you're getting beaten or starved, or like you're gonna have a weird view on women. Like, what's going on?
But it's not only those extreme cases. This is everywhere. I get harassed on the street on a daily basis.
So
women are being sexually assaulted at disgusting rates, and none of it's changing. Like, the risk of violent victimization is 20% higher than that of men's. And the rates of robbery and physical assault have gone down notably, but the rate of sexual assault has been unchanged since 1999. I was born in 1997, so the entire time that I have been alive, that one crime has not gone down, and every other crime has.
So how is it that we were afraid to say things, but like say things that like so because we'll be on the record and get canceled? Yet that statistic still hasn't gone down.
Well, think about it. So what is going on? So it's like that Gillette commercial, like boys will be boys. Like
I hate that saying.
Like that saying is like, well, that saying has nothing to do with letting men be dicks and like treating women like garbage. That's about like men beat up each other, and then that's how we get over our shit with each other. That's what that saying's for. Like boys will be boys.
But it's become more than that, though. It's become it's become a reason to excuse male behavior.
Yeah. And
unfortunately, the majority of male violent behavior is directed at women.
When I hear that phrase, though, that's all I think about is boys like destroying your house because they're kids. I would never use that phrase to justify a guy treating a woman badly.
Are you alright over there? You're like
I'm
choking.
having indigestion.
Do you want some water or something?
Somebody gave me a Boston cream. I got water.
No,
I have water.
I got him water. Irene's almost thrown up over here. What did you think about that commercial, that Gillette commercial? It started a pretty big conversation.
I haven't seen that Gillette commercial.
What?
Maybe I've been living under a rock.
No, it's okay.
When did that commercial come out?
At the beginning of the summer, I think it came out. And it started this huge conversation because men were like, wait a minute, we're not all like that.
Well,
but
I'm glad they could speak out then. But then prove that you're not all like that, because one in 6 women are being raped. And so if the other 5...
Sweet Jesus, that's real?
Yeah, in Canada. And if the other 5 men in that statistic aren't doing anything, then what's the point in even being there? If you're not an active part of the solution, then you are part of the problem. And I think that so many people want to say, oh, well, I've never done it, so I'm not part of the problem. But to not check in on your guy friends with how they treat women, to not check in with your female friends to learn about other perspectives, that is contributing to the problem.
So, not that we're trying to like figure the solution, but like,
oh, I don't know what the solution is.
Yeah, it's got to start young. It's got to start. We got to start changing the way we think about women.
Yeah.
There's always that example. People say like, well, it's biological. Men are pigs, and they inherently treat women terribly. Like,
but why are men okay with having that reputation though? Like, why are they not wanting to turn that around?
Because they think it's funny.
Well, okay.
It's gross. It's not funny.
Gross. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like it's cool or anything. Like, I'm not walking around like, we're like, guys are gross. Yeah, guys are gross. Like,
girls are gross too.
Yeah.
We do lots of gross things.
But like, there's limits, and there's like, but maybe that's the thing, is like we have to call each other out on it, like hold each other accountable. Like if you didn't get raised right, like like, fix your shit.
It's not even about being raised right. It's the way society is. Victim blaming is so ingrained in how we attack problems that relate to gender. You know, when we talk about alcohol, you said when your wife is being hit on. If that had been a different situation where she was in a bar and something had happened, people would have asked her, well, had you been drinking? What were you wearing? That would have been a reason.
Oh my God.
But if the man did something to her, oh well, he was drunk. It's an excuse for man, but it's a reason that women are attacked, and that's a double standard that needs to be eliminated.
Sweet Jesus. Emily's bringing out the guns. So you sent me this really cool article, and it was from GQ, and I think the title of it was "Stop Hitting on Her." I read it, and do you want to?
Oh, how to know if a woman wants you to stop hitting on her?
Yeah, that was one that I was like, wow, I didn't really understand. Like, it had some really cool points in it. I just didn't think it wasn't. I don't know. I think people need to really know how to be a man and how to be a gentleman. Like, what was your main points on that? Like, for me, I felt like the guys that were specifically they were talking to, those aren't like real dudes. Like, that can't be real.
Which one's the?
Sorry.
Oh, the scenarios that they were talking about. You mean?
Yeah.
Oh well, no, I've definitely had a couple of those. Not all of them, but I've definitely had the one where I told the guy that I had to go find my friend, which is code for don't come with me.
Yeah, like no definitely means no. Like, how is that not a thing?
Yeah, well, because men don't like to hear no when they want something. So,
okay.
Yeah. And anyone who says that it's that simple has never had a man go from hitting on them to literally threatening their lives in, like, the same breath almost, because I've had that.
Sweet Jesus. You know what I mean?
I'm so worried about my girls.
So that's what
I'm sorry.
I didn't want. I was like gonna bounce that off on you. Like, as a father, this is the culture we're kind of like raising them in.
Oh my God, can I give you advice?
100%.
You have daughters?
I listen.
Listen to them when they come to you.
Oh, 100%.
Listen
So
to
that's
them.
the one thing I've distilled in Chloe, because she's in the reasoning stage now, that anything you can talk to me, you can come tell me about anything, I'm going to listen. I'm not always going to like it, but I'm going to listen.
And acknowledge that they have problems that you don't know
Yep.
anything about.
Yep.
Because I told my dad about having mace in my backpack, and my dad is not sexist. I grew up very privileged in the sense that my parents don't call themselves feminists, and I wouldn't necessarily call them feminists, but they never told me I couldn't do anything because I was a girl. My gender never had anything to do with anything. I was always treated just like I was their kid, and I could do whatever, and they supported whatever. They were into anything I wanted to do. But when I told my dad that I had mace in my backpack, what he said to me was, well, I'm glad that you have prepared yourself. And I know what he means. I know that he doesn't like that I have to do that, but no, that's not the response. The response is, I'm sorry that you have to do that. I didn't want to have to go on Amazon and buy mace, but when I'm walking home from a 10 p.m. lecture in Waterloo in the student ghetto and there's bars all down the strip, I don't really...
It probably feels better that you have it than that you don't.
Yeah. And guys don't even realize, like, I said it in a joke. I said it as a joke the one day when my one guy friend was just walking home with me from class, and I made a joke about I wouldn't have to use my mace because he's like a bigger guy or whatever. And he was like, I didn't realize that women actually carried mace. I was like, Jesus, it's not just a plot on Sex in the City.
Yeah. And I think that's the main thing is, like, we don't know the narrative. We don't understand the conversation because you said we're not a part of it. Mm-hmm. So what do you think about these guys that are saying, well, I'm a feminist too. I'm a feminist man. Is that a thing?
I don't like the term feminist man. I think you're just a feminist. I think we should stop labeling, because feminist has become such a loaded word now. Like, I'm hearing the term feminazi and all this ridiculous stuff.
Jesus.
Why can't we, like, how about we just call people who aren't feminists sexist? Why do we have to label...
Aren't feminist?
Yeah, if you're not a feminist, if you don't think men and women should be equal, like, why can't you just be labeled as a sexist? Why do I have to be labeled just because I think everyone should be equal?
Interesting.
Like, there's feminists or there's not feminists. Well, why can't we just be normal or sexist?
Yeah, just be a human,
just
a
be
regular human being.
Yeah, a decent person.
Yeah.
Not yelling shit out your car window.
Not a
or
dick with a Bible sign.
I think it's kind of like, for me, I don't think men should be, like you said, maybe you're saying, like, I agree with your opinion. You're either sexist or a normal person, not a feminist. I just think it's like this, like, weird thing that men, like, there's like these douchers that say, oh, I'm a male feminist. Like, they want to be a part of it.
Sounds like somebody trying to get laid.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so necessarily. Well, maybe, I guess.
That's from like my perspective. If I hear a guy say that, I'm just like, okay.
My best friend is a feminist. He's a guy.
He's your best friend?
Yeah.
He's a guy?
Yeah. He's a feminist.
Is he single?
He is, yes.
Oh boy.
He wasn't when I met him though,
That's
and
suspect.
he said that.
I don't know.
It's not suspect.
I don't agree with that. I don't think men should call themselves feminists. I think it's a way in. I think it's a way in a conversation that we shouldn't have an opinion on, that we should take part in, but we shouldn't have an opinion on it.
You heard it here first. A woman is trying to get men involved, and there's men sitting here saying men shouldn't be feminists.
Yeah, I'm trying to, I'm saying, I don't think we should have an opinion on it. I think that we shouldn't be saying we're feminists. I think we should, like you said, you wanted your dad to say, I'm sorry you have to feel this way. I'm sorry that these are the things that are happening to you. I want to know about the conversation, but I don't think I should be calling myself a feminist.
I would love it if my dad called himself a feminist, to tell me that he's going to stand up for my sister, for me, and for my mom in society, believing that we should have equal rights to him, and don't even do it because they're your daughter or your wife. Do it just because they're a person.
Yeah.
More rights for us as women. There's that quote, more rights for another person is not less rights for you. It's not pie.
Yeah.
And you know what? And it doesn't take rights away from you to give rights to me.
Yeah.
And if you're threatened by that, then that means you're not as good at your job as you think you are.
I think we would be allowed to have an opinion on it. I just don't know if I would be trying to come up with solutions as a feminist guy.
Oh, I don't have solutions. I have no idea what the solution is to the problem.
I just feel like guys don't need to be labeling themselves something like that, like you just said. I just don't think they need to be labeling themselves. They can be a part of it, and they can be supportive and be teaching their sons about how to treat women properly and like chivalry,
and teaching their girls what they deserve and what they don't.
Right.
Because it is nothing in the world gives the man the right to put his hands on you unless you give consent. Yeah. 100% of the time, it is a privilege for a man to be able to put his hands on you.
Right.
And you need to be giving consent.
Absolutely.
And the statistics on consent are just ridiculous. Less than 1% of sexual assaults experienced by women lead to an offender being convicted. Less than 1%. That's absolutely ridiculous. 25,060,000 Canadians don't even know what the actual definition of consent is. So think about how many complications, how many lawsuits, like we were saying earlier. Well, if we just educate people on what it means to give consent and sexual equality in encounters like that, then we might be able to eliminate a lot of that problem. Obviously, there are still bad people out there who won't get it no matter what. But I mean, I think not educating people is the biggest problem, and the sex ed curriculum is a big part of that too. So I do agree with what you're saying, that we need to be educating kids young, because there's nobody gains anything from keeping kids in the dark. And when I was doing my one seminar, so my 4th year seminar, we were talking about women in ancient Athens is what it was, but we ended up talking about the double standard in sex ed curriculums. And I said that I was so mad because it wasn't until I was in my 20s when I realized that I was learning all this stuff in sex ed, and the boys just fucked off in the other room and didn't have to learn anything. And I was like, why do I have to learn how to put a condom on? If you don't know how to do that, this isn't happening.
I think we watched videos on birth.
Yep.
So what they would do is they would scare us. They would show us a video about a woman having a child.
Yep.
That's what they showed us.
Well, that's
I remember
not sex ed.
William G. Davis.
And I remember being like, oh God, I'm not going to be involved in that.
Nope.
So this education thing. I think education...
That's why Jeremy has dogs.
I think... Oh, God, no. No, fuck you, Ray. So, this education thing, I think, is an important piece, but it kind of goes so... it's difficult because if you try to go back and look at history, men were, shitty to women. They treated them like garbage and, treated them like objects, and didn't treat them normally, but there is this populace of men that did treat their wives appropriately, and they approached the relationships in a different way, and a lot of those men were religious.
But you say the word appropriately, but back then that was appropriate. It was considered inappropriate for a woman to wear pants or to have a job. That was inappropriate. So I think there's a problem with using the words they didn't treat them normal. That was norm.
Yeah.
And we're coming out of that, and that's wrong. And I think the problem is not so much retro diagnosing, but it's about evolving society and our thought process collectively with
Right.
it. Less judging the past. We can't change that.
Right.
That's what makes me so mad to hear all the crap about the Christmas carols. We're not as mad about the Christmas carols as we are about these
Oh,
rape statistics.
dear
I'm not
God.
even as mad about the Christmas carol as I am about paying for tampons. I want free tampons. I don't care about Christmas carols.
Like the one that's like, baby, it's cold outside. Is that
Yeah,
right?
just stop it. And-
Okay, so yeah. So we're not cool with the old Christmas Carol, where the song about trying to keep a woman in the cottage. It's actually written by a guy to his wife.
Yep.
But we're more than fine with 50 cents candy shop.
I think people don't understand context of the song. Like, the song was written 100 years ago when it was so not appropriate for a woman to stay over. The song is about her wanting to stay, but her family not wanting to judge her. That's literally what the song is about.
But
It
it's
has
a
nothing to
husband,
do
and
with
it's a
date
husband writing a song to his wife.
rape. Yeah, but it's from the context of
Right,
they're not married,
right,
obviously, because
right.
she's talking about going home. But I mean, I personally don't have an issue with that song. And honestly, people who do, even if, fine, whatever, if you want to take it in whatever context, there are bigger issues
Yeah.
in feminism that need to be tackled. We can address Christmas carols when the rest is done.
Yeah. What do you think's the biggest thing that needs to be addressed then? If that's not the biggest thing, what's one like? What's like what?
I was gonna say, just before we jump off of songs, what about the national anthem?
What about it?
Was that a giant issue? Did you see it as a giant issue where it needed to be
All
our sons command?
Well, originally, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't think I am, because I had to Google this when I got in a fight with somebody and I wanted to be factually correct, but the original lyrics of the song were in all of us, or maybe not all of us, but it was a gender neutral
was it?
term in there, and they changed it after the
The war.
Was it the
First World War, I want to say. Yeah, they changed it to honor the soldiers who came
right.
home
That's right.
and whatever.
So
Well,
it
now-
was before.
Yeah, so it was.
Oh, really?
And so they changed it to accommodate the men coming home from overseas, which is another thing because there were nurses and stuff too, but I don't need to get into all that. But no, I don't have a problem with it being changed because and people who want to be all up in arms about traditional, well, that wasn't even the original.
Interesting.
original lyrics,
I didn't know
so-
that.
I didn't
That's
know that
interesting.
either.
See, it didn't bother me because like I don't really like. Okay, what's a song gonna affect my day? Am I gonna wake up and feel offended
How often
because
do you
they,
really sing the national anthem?
Well, the funny thing is they don't actually sing it
Every
in school now.
Saturday. No, they don't.
Really? They don't sing the national anthem?
I don't
Well,
think
so what they do is they change it. So they play on kids' stupidity. So they sing half the song in English and then they change the French so they don't talk about God.
What?
So they sing the first part and you know how it says "Oh Canada, our home and native land."
Ton histoire to
So then when it goes to talk about God, don't
Yeah.
you notice that they changed it to French?
Yeah.
They're
Is
playing
it
on-
because they don't want to talk about God,
Yeah.
or is it because they're trying to be bilingual?
No, no.
Oh, okay. Because
No,
I went
no,
to French
no.
immersion school. I don't know about that because when I went to French
Yeah.
immersion school, it was all in French. I
We
didn't
went
have-
Yeah.
to a private school and we sang "Oh Canada" every day.
But it was
I'm gonna ask Chloe because I think they sing it every morning.
and then we used to always say the Lord's Prayer.
Well,
I never said
we went to a Baptist school though.
No. Like they used to say it in public.
They did
school.
in public schools. My mom
Really?
says that to me all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't know anything about. I didn't jump into the public system until grade 7, so I was fucked for French.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, absolutely screwed.
Tele français.
Yeah, Kelly Francais. So what we were going on to something. We were talking about
We were talking about that article, the women hitting.
yeah,
on-
but we were
or
talking
being-
also about like you were saying one of the big issues isn't the bloody Christmas songs, but like what is the big issue? Like what's one issue that you're like this is something that's happening currently and it's like we need
rape
to
and
fix
sexual assault is in
that's
my
pretty
opinion
gross.
the biggest
That's
thing.
pretty
But I
gross.
mean, when it's everyday things, so that's a Christmas carol. I'm really salty about the tampons. I want free tampons. I'm tired of them being deemed a luxury item. There's nothing luxurious about having a period.
it. I don't know anything about it. I have no. I also that's like something I have no opinion on. So
I got a lot of jokes about it, but I don't know anything else.
so like shouldn't that be covered by like OHIP?
Well, I don't know if it should be. I don't know. Why can't it just be free? How come I can go in the club and get a free condom, but I can't get a free tampon?
You get a free condom in a
Shit.
club?
Yeah.
You can. Phil's and well, actually, I haven't been clubbing
Okay,
in a while.
Phil's I completely
Okay,
understand.
but also, I'm too old for what it's called now. It used to be called night school, but it's called something different now. There were free condoms in there.
I
too.
never went to bars, so I don't
Oh,
know.
okay.
See, we didn't like we were raised.
We were bored.
So we were raised. We went to a private Christian school as kids, and then I got kicked out for just being weird. And then Ernie followed suit because my parents didn't want to pay for
You
private
got kicked
school.
out of school.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Rebellious.
yeah, I was.
He got into it with the principal.
Well, no, he was a cool guy. I just.
That's okay. I got into it with a math teacher once. It was the first and only time I've been sent to the office.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good
Like
job.
a screaming match?
Was it like a? What
No,
was the
he
debate?
said that. Well, because okay, so when I was in high school, we were discussing whether or not we thought the teachers were actually gonna end up going on strike. Mm-hmm. And he looked at me and he said, "Well, Emily, slaves don't get to strike." And I was like, "You're not a slave. You have a full pension and summers off."
Boom.
And then he sent
Good
me to the
for you.
office,
Good
and the
for you.
principal was like,
Nice.
"What just happened?" And he sent me back to class.
She just dropped a truth bomb on him.
Yeah. Mic
That's-
drop.
That's the reason why Ontario's in so much bloody debt, is because those teachers' unions.
Oh yeah, they're still doing it. Chloe's got a day off next week.
Anyway, let's not get into that.
Anyway,
Yeah, I don't want to get into that. That's just
Yeah,
my
that's
my one rebellious
Yeah.
claim
So
to fame.
go back to work.
I was just weird, and I got kicked out of a private Christian school. I just didn't. I don't like rules. I don't like people telling me what to do.
Me
So
neither.
so we were raised a little bit different than a lot of guys, and so and our mom is just a very like a very opinionated woman, and she's very straightforward, and she speaks her mind, and we talk about things. We would come home and have conversations, and it was normal to talk about hot topics. It wasn't. We didn't shy away from argumenting, and we didn't shy away from having like conflict, because then we just talked about it. So when we were talking about relationships and things like that. It wasn't taboo. She said, "This is how you treat a woman. This is how women like to be treated, and anything less or anything more is just weird." Like it wasn't a normal thing. And I don't like not to try to find like a solution or anything, but like treating the way that men treat women, it seems just so obscure. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
It does seem awkward when you hear somebody talk about how, like, you know, the way they talk about their girlfriend or something like that.
or their wife.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I'm like, I really.
It's just an awkward situation. You're just like, I don't want to hang out
So
with
the
you.
narrative is just always, like you said.
It's that men are entitled to our attention, to our bodies, to our everything, that we are there at men's convenience. And that's why I sent you the article about how to know if a woman wants you to stop hitting on her, because I thought that article was so funny in how just like
Yeah.
plainly simple it was, and it kind of was meant to be more of a comical
yeah.
article to show people like this is how ridiculous this whole situation is. Like articles shouldn't be being written about this. Like if a person clearly, men are not stupid. I think that men subconsciously choose to ignore signs that a woman
Absolutely.
doesn't want to be talking to you. Just be aware of the effect that you're having, like, and take no for an answer the first time. And a woman being alone in a setting like a gas station or a cafe or whatever is not like a free-for-all for men to run at them. It literally feels like, have you seen Jurassic Park?
Yes.
You know the part where they're in the kitchen and they're like running away from the raptors and they're like clawing at the doors and they're in the dumbwaiter and they're like throwing distractions to get away? That's what it feels like sometimes. If you're just like in a setting, getting in an elevator where you're the only woman is scary.
You know what's crazy to think is saying that
Wow.
there was a TV show on Much Music. I don't know if you remember this. It was called Keys to the VIP. Do you remember that?
No.
And it was a TV show where they would put these like 4 guys or 3 guys in a bar, and their main goal was they would give them a thing where they had to get a girl's phone number, or they had to do something where they had to get a girl to do something, but like it was convincing them, like you say, where they weren't taking no for an answer. And it was a TV show where and that was their main goal, was to get this done. It was they were rewarded if they
And see,
pulled
that's
this
the
off.
unfortunate thing. You have like this generation of men growing up watching this
Yeah.
TV show where they're like, well, I can do better than him, and so it's like a competition.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly what
But it's
it
like a
is.
disgusting competition.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't
It's
think.
ingrained in mating, I think. Is it like a
Biological thing?
I think that's what it is.
Well, back then they would just club them over the head and drag them off to the cave. Like that was,
That was back.
And the asking questions part, like this is a tip for all the men out there. If a woman doesn't ask you questions about yourself when you're talking to her, she doesn't care. Like, I'm just saying, like, women like information. We want to communicate, we want to take and store that information in our brains, and then we want to go and tell our friends all about you and make them think that we're like super into this guy and just like blurt out all your information. Like, we want everything. Like, we want to know, where are you from, what's your middle name, what do you do for a living, what's your favorite color, do you want to raise dogs with us, like what's your horoscope, what's your blood type, literally everything. Like, we want it all. If a woman doesn't ask you anything about yourself, she doesn't give a shit.
Oh my god.
Like, and specifically, if you meet her in a public place and she continues to go about her business, like, if that were any other person, if you were a guy and you went up to a guy and were talking to him and he didn't look at you, didn't make eye contact, continued to do what he was doing, would you think he wanted to talk to you?
No.
No. So why is it different for a woman? Like, why do we continuously
a double-
harass women?
Wow. And
And don't
that's
follow us. Don't follow us. If we say we have to go find a friend, it's code for we want you
Leave
to
us
think.
alone.
Yeah, we want you to think it's your idea, or we'll purposely act boring. I've done that before too. If you act boring and he thinks it's his idea to walk away, it makes it so much easier, and you don't get a death threat.
I'm just gonna tell Chloe to just
Jesus.
pretend you have gas.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Sorry, I'm really farty tonight.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll go over like a lead
Just about
balloon.
Unless he likes that, then well.
Oh my
yeah.
god.
Yeah, you can guys shit through hammocks.
Oh fuck. Christ.
But men like to use words like harmless in situations like that, but you're not the ones who get to decide whether or not it's harmless because they're not the ones at risk of being harmed. It's the same as saying what I said is not offensive, and I hear that all the time. And someone that I know says that every time when I get upset about something they've said. Well, what I said is not offensive. Well, you don't get to decide what I find offensive. I will tell you what I find offensive. That's not up to you. And I see that all the time in the news. People say, "Oh, well, this isn't offensive. Oh, that's harmless." You don't get to decide that because you're not the group that's at risk for being offended or harmed.
Mm-hmm. But what would you say then to somebody that, like, say it was a comment, but it wasn't ill-willed from the person that said it, and then they would say, well, you got offended, that's really on you than on what I said.
I think that's really a case study. If someone's yelling racial slurs, I think that's a universal thing.
No.
That
By case,
yeah. But if someone says something and it's taken out of context or hits somebody on a bad day, or they don't realize that what they're saying is something loaded, like they make a joke about something that affects that person and they didn't know, like, that's kind of not, that's a different situation.
It's like that, yeah, exactly. It's like that rape joke that Anthony Jeselnik said, that he saved that woman from being raped. He stopped chasing her, right?
Ugh, that's disgusting.
It was disgusting. It was kind of funny. I thought it was kind of funny, but like if he had said it in an area where, say, like, it was nothing but, like, it was high in the area.
I think.
But that's what I was just about to say, though. Like, how do you?
Did you ever hear Dave Chappelle's joke that he said?
Yeah.
When he got paid the $25,000 or whatever, and he was walking around with it in his back. I think it was Dave Chappelle, and he said that he was walking around with the $25,000 in his backpack that he got paid for, and he was like, and I was terrified because I had something that everyone wanted. He was like, "Oh my god, what if I had a pussy?" I don't like that word, but that's what he said, and it's like that's exactly what it is. Yeah,
What it feels like. Yeah.
Well, I don't know what it's like to walk around with $25,000, but I would imagine it's quite similar because something everybody wants.
I don't have $25,000.
Yeah.
I don't either.
You know what? Maybe it's better for men to be like awkward and shy and not be like the alpha douche, because like
No.
I was afraid.
Oh, if a dude has to tell you he's an alpha, he's not an alpha.
Yeah. Once you say you're like, so I don't even like using that word. I don't understand that there's not in normal dudes. Like, Wordy and I hang out with like some pretty manly men, like some biker hardcore dudes, and there's no word saying
The word alpha has never come out of their mouths.
and and also they're the nicest people like you can hang out with. But the point I was trying to say is, like, I was always awkward, and I was afraid. I always was afraid that I was going to be alone for most of my life. Yeah, I was like, I'm completely awkward. I don't know what to say, and I think I know how to treat a woman properly, but I think that I'm too much of a weirdo to approach it. And I didn't have my first girlfriend until like grade 12, and it was like I didn't know how it happened. I was just talking so I understand it now as a young man. If I were to give myself advice, like, you were simply just being normal and having a normal conversation, which is normal, and you're talking about things that like what you aspired to for the rest of your life, like how important it is to save money, or like what you want to have a house. Like, you were talking normal things, and that's how you are. Being with a woman is just being normal. You don't have to be a weirdo. Like, you just be a regular person. You don't have to try to impress them like with like crazy stupid things or try
you
to.
You didn't date that
But
much?
what is normal?
So normal is not being gross.
Yeah, all right. So just not being gross then. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't really use words like normal. I think that's just because I'm not really normal.
I'm not normal
or
either.
whatever you want to call
My
normal.
my version of normal is very subjective. I think anybody can say that. But
I think that's I think
Yeah.
it's a subjective word by nature.
yeah, but like not being gross. Like don't be gross. Like don't like I had a friend. I'm gonna make fun of him because he's not a friend of mine anymore. And he would say, "I really like to." He'd be.
Oh, is that? Yeah, I know who you're doing. I know where you're going.
He was just like, he's an absolute tool, and he said the most disgusting things to women, and then laugh about it. And I'd be like,
I wouldn't piss on him if he was on fire.
and I'd be like, I don't think this is a good way to. I would say to him, this is not a good way to pick up women or try to keep them around. And it didn't work out for him so well.
He's the guy that would play the card where it was like, you know, the ones where like, if I'm a dick, she's gonna think it's hot. Yeah.
And he was an absolute ass. And he'd try to like, no man, this is how they like it when you treat them like garbage. I'm like, I don't think so. I don't. And then remember I told you, I was like, yeah, it didn't work out. Like,
I think men mistake banter and like getting on my I have a very dark, intense sense of humor.
Yeah.
Get on that level with me. Don't be a dick to me. Be a dick with me.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like don't make them part of the equation. Become part of it yourself. Don't make like, I don't know. He's just gross. And he'd say some disgusting things and then like look at me and go like this, and then they would walk away. I'd be like, no, didn't work out for you, you idiot. Like,
Because I think that's a lot of, well, women too, but with men, like they want approval and to have dominance over other men, and that's ingrained biologically into us. Is that the way that men appear dominant to other men is mating, having a mate, being found attractive.
Yeah. That's the kind of guy that would tell you that he's an alpha. Like that's where that would.
He
come
would.
in. Yeah.
And then I'd be like, well, that's dumb.
Because I don't think I've ever heard any of my friends ever use the word "I'm an alpha."
I wouldn't be friends with anyone who ever said that they were an alpha. I'd be like, well, you're a douche.
I don't think I've ever actually had that either. I've had a lot of things said to me by men. That's not one. I'm an alpha.
You're
Never
an
had
alpha.
that.
You're an alpha hotel. That's what you're.
I just
Do you know what that is, Jeremy?
no. What's that?
Because it's an
That's a
acronym.
cadet joke. Oh,
Yeah.
don't let him in on it.
Okay.
Oh, it's fine.
I wasn't a cadet.
You're an asshole.
I wasn't a cadet.
Alpha hotel.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
It's okay.
Sorry, guys. I'm not in your club.
It's okay.
That's okay.
You're
It's
not.
kind
You're
of a
not.
lame
You're not.
club.
You're not blacked down with it.
Whoa, I'm not with that.
Yes. That's just you.
I just made that one up.
I made you sound about 100.
That's
yeah.
okay.
Down with it.
It's all right.
We're in our 30s.
That's
we're,
all right.
we're pretty old.
I'm
I
cool
guess.
with that.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm married now. I can be dumb.
Yeah. When your wife, but that's the thing is like, you're friends with all these dudes. So this is a thing. So I grew up with a group of guys, and I always thought I was the weakest link. I'm like, well, I'm not a douche like this guy, so obviously I'm not gonna get somebody. And so it's funny how you watch them progress in life, how they mature, and the choices they make. And then all of a sudden, you're like not like the douchey one, and then you start getting away ahead of them, and they're way back there, and their skills that they think they had about picking up girls and stuff, it's not really working out in the long term. And the guy who's the nice guy, who treats women with respect, and he finds a woman he wants to love. And so what happened with me, my guy friends told me I was making a mistake, that she was changing who I was, you're not cool anymore. They actually disassociated with me on purpose. They said, the girl you're with, we don't like her, and we're not friends with you anymore because it's changing who you are. So at that time I was doing a lot of self-reflection because I was like studying and going to school and figuring myself out. I'm like, I don't think you're right. I think maybe a woman can find a man and maybe make themselves better, make them I always say this to my wife. She's made me the man I am today because she's enabled me to be a person and be normal with it and be okay with it. So their version of what they thought I was just putting on a show for them, and then I actually found someone that loved me, and out of that love, you're creating who you are, and you're finding yourself and being normal with it and being okay with it, and you're not trying. So that act of trying to be like, yeah, bro, what's like. That doesn't take you very.
You couldn't even finish the sentence. You don't even know how to talk like that.
No. That doesn't take you very far in life. Like you're like the success that you thought you had, it didn't get you anywhere. And like there's a reason why, not to showboat or something. Like I'm 5 years married, and I know these other friends of mine that are like have had terrible relationships with women.
The ones who peaked in high school, right?
Yeah. And and you saw them try to make that big step into adulthood, having a relationship, and it absolutely just fall because they're just like, I'm like, that's not how you treat someone. In general, someone, not just a woman, but that's not how you treat people in general. Like, I think that's a key thing. I don't know if you relate to that, but like, I really like.
Well, it's like you've been saying, like it's not so much about us just moving away from the people that are treating women like this. It's speaking up, right? And I know I've had a bunch of friends that have had so many millions of girlfriends, and it's just like after a while you just say like, man, what are you doing?
So
like, you're not doing something right.
I had
obviously.
3, and the third one I married.
You had 3 girls. I had quite a bit, but
oh yeah,
I'm not gloating. I'm not gloating, but. And I don't know. I think it's just I was busy, and a lot of times, and I wasn't home a lot either too. But anyway, it wasn't because I wasn't treating them right or anything like that. And you'd see
because
it with
that was
my friends.
a normal.
Yeah.
So I was looked down upon. It was like it's like a notch or something. Like, well, I've had like 20 girlfriends, and to me,
Toxic masculinity at work.
To me, I had someone who I could talk to, like a friend, and he was a youth pastor, and he said, how does that echo into the rest of their life if they're like, well, I don't like this about this person, so I'm going to move on. So, not to say that has any correlation with divorce rates, but like how that's got to be somewhere in there where like you grow up with this idea that you can just move on. Well, I don't like this, so I can move on. Not to say you have to settle down when you're like 16 with this person.
The way I saw it was I was trying to find the right one, and if it wasn't working out, it wasn't like I was being rude.
Not when you're 15, though.
Don't be judgmental. I thought I was in love at 15. I think we all do.
Yeah, I thought I was in love when I was 18.
The first girl I ever kissed, I thought that was it.
Oh,
Same.
God.
Not a girl, though.
I was gonna say, well, whatever.
Whatever you do. But like, so the first
girl, robot, whatever.
The first girl I dated.
Whatever you do.
They got nice ones now, apparently.
Gross. The first girl I dated.
Chandler Bing.
The first girl I dated, I gave her a promise ring. I thought this is the one, and then she just absolutely just like.
Did she take the ring?
Took the ring. Gave her a promise ring. She tore me apart. Like I'm actually now, as like in retrospect, I'm glad I went through it because it's made me the person I am today. Where I'm just like I can be like, fuck you. Like before, I was way too nice. I was way too nice.
Now, but why? Okay, so let's jump back here. Why were you saying fuck you?
Now?
Yeah.
Because I want to put up with shit.
What did she do?
Walked like basically. So when you're.
Oh, is this the one that the shrimp ring?
Let's not get into it. So. When I'm like 18, paying her bills and driving her around, and she's just cheating on me behind my back and completely just like using me forever. Like, and then I was absolutely head over heels, way too nice in love, and then
she was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
But then, like, going through that though, you find what's important in your life.
Right.
I'm not sure what the point I'm trying to make here, but
the point is, you don't go to the keg and get a shrimp ring. That's what you do.
Sure. It's just I think men need to change the way that they approach women in general for relationships. I think
the whole perspective on gender equality and feminism needs to change. I really strongly don't agree with the notion that it's not a woman's job to educate the men in our lives about gender equality. I mean, no. I don't think it's fair for us to assume that men are aware of things that are like in our lives all the time, like things that we're constantly thinking about, the same way that we don't know what men are constantly thinking about all the time. Although I've been told by guy friends, you guys can literally think about nothing.
Yes.
I don't understand that. You can sit there and have a blank brain.
I did it for 8 hours today.
It's great for
my God.
We're way better at
Amazing.
meditating. We're way better at meditating than
that must be
So
fantastic.
good.
You just you have to have it all, don't you, you men? You just have all of it.
Sorry.
I blanked out for like 5 hours.
No periods and the ability to not think.
Yep.
Just
seriously. And I can I can turn it off. Like I can be like, I'm gonna play video games for 6 hours. And that's all. Well, my job.
And you don't think while you play video games?
So no, I'll put a podcast on in the background. I'll try to learn as I'm like playing something, but I can just shut off. Unlike you poor people, like you have like 18 million things going on. You can worry about 50 million things, and I'm like, I don't know.
If I turn on music, my brain won't stop. But if I turn on a podcast or if I turn the radio off,
and that's the thing also too. Like women are way smarter than dudes. Like way smarter. Like
you're just sucking up now.
No.
I think smarter in different ways.
Well, no. It's actually statistically shown. Like women on a higher ratio have higher IQs, and one of the smartest women. So
I've
sorry,
met some.
Sorry,
but
no
yet they're
offense.
not getting the good jobs. They're not getting the CEO positions.
Well,
they're
it's
not
because-
getting the leadership roles.
Well, that's because of this.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I've met some dumb women though. Let's be honest.
I met some dumb men.
I've met some really.
Oh, 100%. I work with some.
Yep. Yeah, there's not a lot of. Well, on both sides of the spectrum, there's not a lot of bright shining stars. Sometime. You know?
Oh yeah. Half a brick short of load.
Well, I just think that being like what I had said before
Yeah.
about it's not. I don't agree that it's not a woman's job to educate. I think it is our job to educate. But that being said, it's up to men to want to be educated. And if you choose to believe that you know all there is to know, or that the problem doesn't exist because it applies to you, then you're just choosing to be ignorant. And I want to say you're an idiot, but it's so much more than that, and you're just part of the problem. And and if you, like I was saying to you guys earlier before we started this, if you don't, or I think I said this while we were recording already,
right.
but if you think the women in your life aren't being affected by this, then you're sorely mistaken, and you should be addressing that, and you should be talking to the women in your lives more. It just means they don't trust you enough to talk about it, and that's sad.
But like, what I think is main thing is like just be a good person in general. Like those people that are terrible to women are probably also terrible to men. Like they're probably douchers. You know what I mean? Like you're not friends with anybody that treats like I'm not friends with anyone. If I see them treat anyone bad, or say something like to a homeless person or to anyone who is in a vulnerable position, like anyone who treats someone badly, I don't want anything to do with them. I'm not friends with anyone like that. And I don't respect anyone like that. I lose absolute respect to people who are ignorant.
I think you'd be surprised about what you don't know.
I'm surprised now just in the things you keep telling me, but like.
And I'm just one person. Like
Yeah.
I've never been raped or anything like that. I've had sexual harassment. I've had my ass slapped, which is technically sexual assault, but I've never had anything super extreme. So just imagine what other stories are out there, because I'm just one person and I don't even represent the worst of it.
To be honest, like, in a group of guys, you know who is you know who's the doucher, you know who's the creep show, like
Not always right away though,
yeah, guys know
as
guys.
I've come to learn.
I'm pretty good at judging character.
Like there's some we hang out with these like this biker group and they're all gents, but like sometimes a guy will come in and we'll kind of look at each other and go,
who the fuck is that,
like,
and why is he
this,
here?
Who's this grease? Like you can just tell.
Now imagine being the woman in the room that he's attracted to, and you can smell that character.
He
on
wouldn't.
him, and
He wouldn't be in
leave
the
you
room
alone.
alone. He wouldn't be in the room.
You don't think so?
No, not with our group of friends.
So that's the thing is like,
But
the problem
on
is,
their own, I get.
problem
But you
is-
guys realize, I'm not saying you're
Yeah.
lying or anything. I believe you 100%
Yeah.
because I know you pretty well and you're a good guy. But I mean,
thanks.
you guys are not the majority. If that
No,
was the case,
no.
your group of friends, you are very
No.
very much the
Yes.
minority.
But
Men do not check in on their male friends enough.
no, we don't like.
No.
They don't like to talk. We don't. There's a large majority of men who.
And you
we
know
don't-
what? For the men who want to say, "Oh, men have problems too," that's one right there. I think that men should feel open, should be able to feel open about talking what they need to talk about, rather than resorting to violence and aggression and oppression of women and and not wanting to educate themselves on other problems. I think that men should have the right to express themselves as
Well,
much
there's
as women do.
There's a stigma that it's a weakness, though.
I know, and that's
It's huge.
wrong.
That what-
and
that what is, sorry?
contributes to toxic masculinity. So we get stuck in
Yeah.
this circle that just keeps going.
So weakness, any kind of weakness where there's like, so for instance, a man saying, I have depression and anxiety or something. They wouldn't openly talk about that in front of people. Like,
It's frightening.
it's scary to say that you have to go to therapy. Like, I think I've told you this in the past. Like, I didn't tell anybody for years. I only told my wife because she was like, well, this is important. So didn't tell anybody. Yeah, I had to go to therapy. I had to deal with some stuff. Like, it's not an easy thing to talk about. Because like with men, weakness, that's a weakness. Like, you're okay, grow up, go outside. Like that's
I'm pretty
like
sure men have a higher suicide rate too, actually.
yeah.
I think
Oh,
so.
really?
Well,
I think so.
one of the largest suicide rates is men coming back from war. Right now, it's an epidemic. Like veterans coming back and not
Yeah.
being able to deal with the post traumatic.
They're working on that though. I heard though.
Well, working on it. They've been working on it since 1914.
But like the point she's making is like there's no conversations because
That's
they're
true.
afraid to have it.
But they just, I don't know. I just wrote a paper on shell shock for one of my classes, actually, and that was one thing that just boggled my mind, is like hundreds of years and so much. There is no negative outcome from investing in mental health initiatives, and we're not doing it. We're not investing in these things. we're not, and it needs to be. It needs to be done because men have such a high suicide rate, and veterans especially have such a high suicide rate. And between 1914, when shell shock was first being coined, and then that developed into, it's not really PTSD, but that's a whole other historic debate. It's a whole thing. Anyway, anyway, that developed into what we now understand as like mid-modern day as PTSD, and there have been little developments. Like now they say there's less of a stigma. Well, that's great, but there still aren't the initiatives that I think there need to be. And I mean, I'm not saying that I'm going to fork out the money or I know where to get it from, but I just mean that maybe instead of cutting back on the things that better society and will contribute to solutions in these problems, we need to be investing in that, and maybe like less dollar beers.
Yeah.
So
that's good. That's a very good point.
From what they consider to be postpartum there, or
Not
PTSD, back then to now, has that changed at all, really? Or
What do
not
you mean,
really?
like, what they
when you
consider?
said shell shock to what?
Well, at
what
first
they
I thought
classified
shell
as now?
shock was a physical thing. They thought
Yeah.
that you were physically
Jumpy.
so close to a shell shock. No, not even. They thought
No?
it was a physical injury. So they thought that you were so close to a shell exploding that your brain was physically damaged. And so that's why
gosh.
you were reacting. But everyone's was different, and then it became a mental.
How are they dealing with shell shock back then?
How are they dealing with shell shock? Different.
Alcohol.
Not now. I mean back then. Like
Yeah,
after World
different.
War II.
Electroshock therapy was used,
Oh,
but that was I actually had to take an interesting stance in that paper, something I didn't agree with, because I personally don't agree with the use of electroshock therapy. But back then, that was the best they had, and
Or
100 years
lobotomies.
from now, they're gonna look back at things we use and say, well, I don't agree with that, but
Yeah.
it's the best we have available. So the narrative with shell shock and mental illness from back then is that they didn't acknowledge it, or they didn't try to help, they didn't care, and that's actually not true. They acknowledged that it was taking out a big chunk of their men, like tens of thousands of soldiers were in the hospital. Did people try to abuse that system in order to be taken off the front lines? Absolutely, but at the end of the day, the narrative that we have about treatment of mental health in World War I regarding shell shock just isn't what it it's not 100% accurate.
Well, they didn't really have a full idea on like.
They had recovery rooms too,
Yeah.
which was, it's kind of hard to understand, like to read, because I was reading primary sources, so it's like doctors writing. Well, if you think doctors writing now is bad, try reading like scanned friggin' primary sources from the Waterloo archives. Just can't do
sweet.
it. I just can't even read it. But from what I understand, they would put them in a room with calming effects, or they would be put in like a bath with all iced in an attempt to what was that?
It's okay.
Or
Well,
just
that was
the
me.
springs. I do that
That's
constantly.
a death trap, that one.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay. But yeah, so they would just try different attempts at recovery in order to ease the mind, because they didn't have.
They didn't know.
And also, this was all being developed while they were fighting a war. Like, they were literally in the trenches trying to deal with a brand new phenomenon. So it's unfair, I think, for us to retro-diagnose.
Were they like? Did they kind of simplify it? Oh, he just says shell shock. Was it something that was common?
Yeah, so soldiers that were diagnosed with shell shock after the epidemic started in 1915, I think, 15 and 16 is when it was like a real phenomenon. They didn't have, they weren't given injury strips on their uniform like they were if they had, say, an
Like a
arm
Purple
blown
Heart?
off, or a purple, or like there was a patch they would put on their arm if they were injured as well. So they weren't given those because it was not considered
Just shell
a
shock.
physical illness anymore. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's kind of like a yes and no. Like, it's not as bad as we like to think it is, but they weren't great. But we're not great either. Like,
No.
we haven't come that far, really, when you think about it. What's our...
Jesus,
Oh,
that
you did
was
the same
my
thing.
turn. Write that number down.
Yep.
We'll just cut it out.
That one's going out.
Jesus. That's what I would ever do that. I would
Shots
never have-
fired. Shots
Anyway.
fired.
Oh my god.
Good thing we're not in the States, because listeners would actually believe that.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
jumped.
Oh my god.
Oh, man.
shouting back.
Keep my hands down.
Fucking Canadians.
Yeah, we have like a. Never mind. Let's not get into that. Our listener base. Yeah. It's so. Would you? There's a lot of like. It's a huge conversation right now. Like, not just like feminism, but in general, just like rights and people just treating people nicely, and specifically like females. Like, it's like specifically in Hollywood, the big conversation was like we talked about before, the Me Too movement, where women were just basically saying, well, if you want this part, you kind of have to, like
The Harvey Weinstein thing.
Yeah, that was a huge one. Like, but the men are getting in trouble, and
they should be.
Yeah.
Oh, not saying what they're doing is right whatsoever.
Now it's at a point where people are. There's a conversation between like, well, I've heard enough of it. Like, we're tired of hearing about it.
Well, we're tired of living through it. How about that?
Yeah. Like, I'm not saying that's me saying that.
No, I
I'm
know,
just saying in
but
general,
that's my reaction. I love men that get up there with their whole, well, I'm sick of hearing about it. That must be nice to be so privileged that you can say you're sick of hearing about it.
Yeah, you're sick of dealing with it.
Yeah.
Or the conversation also is, wow, it's scary to be a white male.
No. It's never been scary to be a white male.
It's possibly it is. I don't feel scared, mind you, but like that's
because you have nothing to hide, though. If you're scared, it means you've done something. That's my question to all the men out there who think this is a witch hunt. Well, witches didn't exist.
No,
I'm here to tell you, rapists are real.
Well, they weigh as much as a duck. They do weigh as much as a duck. We've learned that.
Now let's throw you in the water and see if you float.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do they? What do ducks do?
Well,
if
you do look back at those original witch hunts, so not to say this, but the women at that time were actually doing it to get like known, or they were like trying to like start a story, or they wanted to be part of something. Like those women weren't witches; they
witchcraft.
They were just trying to like.
It's witchcraft.
I don't believe in witchcraft.
I don't believe in witchcraft either.
Good. Do you believe in like holding rocks and putting them in the moon and like it gives you energy and all that weirdness?
No.
Good. Okay.
I have magic rocks.
I do believe in ingredients in certain oils, though, like CBD oil has been proven for pain.
Okay, but that is like actual like results.
No, I know that, but some people don't believe in that. Some people don't believe in essential oils and that kind of thing.
Here's a pen.
You don't believe in essential oils?
Here's a pen. It's gonna cure your headache.
Wait. So let me.
Is it a vape pen?
Yeah, well, you can suck on it. I don't know if it's gonna.
That's so stupid.
Might turn your tongue
Chew
blue.
on a pen or smoke a cigarette. Don't do both. You look stupid doing that.
Yeah, you look like you're like a robot. Like I always drive by those people and go choo choo. You're a train. Like cause they not stupid. Anyway, I think. So
you really went off track on that one.
Yeah.
We've gotten so off
We're
track.
getting derailed.
Yeah. Punch your ticket on that
What
one.
does essential oils have to do with anything? Well, I was talking about it. We were just talking about it. I don't know.
Rocks.
You said something about witchcraft.
Yeah.
It's a witch hunt.
So that's a huge thing. Like women are like, we're witches. Oh, witches like a really cool thing. Is that like? I don't understand.
Hashtag witchy things.
What's happening? Like, what's going on? Why do people want to be witches?
I have no idea. I don't want to be one. So
all right,
I don't
cool,
know.
rad.
I have no idea.
I want to be
unless it's like Hermione Granger type of witch.
That's right.
Yeah.
We right on
but not like no.
Jeremy's got a wand.
Expecto Patrona. Yeah. Not a real wand.
I'm
sure you do.
It's not a real wand.
He's got a Hogwarts letter.
Oh, you know what though? Okay, I went to the Boy Wizard in Scotland and I saw Hermione Granger's wand sitting in there for £35, and I did consider buying it. I did not buy it.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Why didn't you buy it?
Because that was only the second day of my trip, and I had already spent a significant amount of money.
So is your background Scottish?
Yes.
You're a real
like your
wizard,
dad's
Harry.
Scottish, your mom's Scottish?
My mom's maiden name is Robertson,
all right.
and her mom's maiden name is Duncan, so that's enough said there.
Yeah, our great grandmother was Scottish.
All right. Yeah.
So that doesn't really make us Scottish, but it's pretty cool to know that though. Farquharson was her last name.
My mom's family is all from the east coast of Quebec. That's very Scottish influenced out there.
I use Scotch Guard on the couches.
It's fucking terrible. No. Terrible. Okay. So you're in your 4th year studying history.
5th year.
You're in your 5th year.
Yeah.
That's all right.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's just money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
That's good.
So and then you're
in a system that's stacked against me as if being a woman wasn't enough.
So so it's a history degree, and do you plan on teaching or?
No, God no. I couldn't deal with parents.
Awesome.
No, I don't want to deal with parents.
That's where the mace comes in.
No, you can use it on the parents.
Sure you can.
No, the kids too.
Shut up. Tase him. Why is he? I don't know.
I
He's
had a French
vaping.
immersion teacher who used to use a whistle at us.
Really?
They just flick the lights with us.
Did they blow it like all Frenchy like, or did they?
No, he would put it in. He'd put it in his mouth. We were talking, and then we would see him, and he did blow it a couple times, and it was very loud.
Oh,
so
Fox
we would
40s.
all just stop.
Yeah, Fox 40. Peeless.
He was crazy, but I miss him. He was hilarious.
It's good to have good teachers.
He wasn't that great of a teacher, but the stories from being taught by him are just fantastic. Hilarious.
So, like, I find that that's the thing. Like, having a good teacher. Is it in the schools, maybe? We can start this conversation earlier, like, for people to not be douchers?
I don't know, because it seems like teachers want a whole lot more money for every responsibility
What's your
that's
opinion
tacked
on
on.
teachers, Emily? Let's get on that.
My opinion on teachers is bias, so I don't really want to.
Why? You have family members that are teachers?
No, I don't have. Well, my grandmother was a teacher, and so was my great grandmother. But my bias on teachers is negative, so I don't.
Why not?
Well, because it's not a thing I want to get into. But
All right.
I'll say it. Fuck them up, they're stupid asses.
Whoa!
No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I had some rough ones.
I had some rough ones too.
I had one we were saying on an earlier podcast. She blamed us that we were the reason she was single.
Really?
Yeah, she had a real breakdown in class.
Oh my.
Yeah. Mental breakdown.
I had a few really good teachers in high school. I have one that I still email, actually.
Wow.
I get his opinion on topics
That's
papers.
good.
Mm-hmm.
There was a teacher. So
I know the one
just,
you're talking about.
So it's on the same topic, so I was going to bring it up. So she is an art teacher in a local school, and she got in trouble 6 months ago because
Teacher got in trouble? What?
Yep.
Wow, crazy.
Where'd you go to school?
It's in this area. I just don't want to say it.
Somebody taught her a lesson.
Good God.
That's funny. Mm.
So she was basically calling people out.
I'm sorry, I'm
No.
listening.
No,
I'm
okay,
listening.
okay,
I'm
that was
listening.
great.
You don't need to listen.
No.
Everybody just keep laughing.
Yep.
So she was calling people out and telling people that they're living wrong, and women, like the young girls, shouldn't be pushing around babies at 14 and 13. And she was kind of like, it's a very conservative view. She had a very conservative view, and she was trying.
Well, teach the boys how to put a condom on.
So she was being very forward, and she was saying, basically, men, like the young men, need to be treating the women more proper and should be having those kinds of relations. And she was having those kinds of conversations, and she got in trouble because some of the students in the class were recording her, and then they showed the
Okay,
parents.
that's illegal, first of all.
And they showed the parents, and the parents were like, "How dare she say those things to my kid?" And then she said,
How dare she
and
say what, though?
basically like a very conservative views on relationships and how like people should wait to have sex before marriage, like that shouldn't be a thing.
Okay.
And so she was very very conservative with her views, and she basically called, basically teaching the kids some like
Stop
values.
teaching kids that sex isn't fun.
Yeah.
Prepare them for it. Stop telling them it's not fun, because guess what? They're going to do it anyway, and then they're going to find out it is.
Right. So then she got in trouble, and because the parents were like, "How dare you say that?" And her rebuttal was like, "Well, if you would teach your kids something, maybe I wouldn't have to say it in class." But
Yeah.
maybe, I don't know. Maybe I don't know if she was overstepping her bounds, like as a teacher. But it's kind of cool that she would take that far to like actually have an opinion. Like
I don't agree with her conservative views, but I do agree with the statement, well, if you would teach your kids something at home.
Yeah, like that was like her basically the whole thing was like they were appalled, not based off the subject matter, that how dare she like say these things, but it's like, well, like I remember those teachers as a kid where they said something really important, and I was like, I'm gonna remember that because that seems like it's like a really good advice. Like if you're not getting that kind of advice at home, like Jesus, like.
But those were the teachers that you remembered, though. The ones that were kind of opinionated and would actually, like, not just be like, just teach the lesson and
I
that's
don't have
it.
any advice from teachers
But
that
like,
I remember.
I don't care if it's conservative or a liberal views. Like any kind of something substantial, they're not afraid to take a stand on something. I think that's important. Like, and if people, if a woman teacher would hear something like something disgusting, they'd say like a male student and call them out on it and say something like call them on a stance and say you can't treat women that way, you can't talk to women that way, and you can't be subjective. And then like if they don't hear that at home, where are they going to hear that? Like I think that's an important thing. Like that's very rare.
I think teachers need to address inappropriate behavior in the classroom.
Yeah,
sure.
But like that's just so rare that they take a stand on something because they want to appeal to everybody. Like that's like I'm like
Yeah, that's
know what I
the
mean?
issue I had with teachers. They never wanted to address inappropriate behavior in the classroom, and that's why I don't like teachers.
Yeah.
But, or maybe the students were passing notes about calling her a hottie. Who knows? Like they did with me.
like they did with you.
So what actually, like, for you that started it for you to call yourself a feminist? Like, what kind of initiated you to say, you know what, I'm gonna kind of lean this way? Not that like there was any like giant thing in your life that happened, but like to kind of move you towards feminism and all that?
Absolutely. It's when I was in school, and all the boys got to go outside and play for recess, and the girls had to stay inside and be told that we can't be showing too much skin.
What?
That's what it was for me. I was like, well, that's stupid. It's hot outside. And all the stores sell tank tops. What am I supposed to wear? Yeah, we were told that we can't have, it was, in elementary school, it was 3 shoulders. I was like, so you want me to wear a boy's shirt? Because I don't think girls make tank tops like this. With the,
3
It was
fingers?
3, it had to be 3 fingers, and your arm, like you had to put your arms down, and if your shorts were shorter than where your fingertips went to, and I had pterodactyl arms, so I was fucked. But I did. And you couldn't wear those shorts. And my shorts weren't even, like, I never wore shorts that showed, like, my ass or anything. And I was like, well, I don't know why it matters. Like, do boys not know we have legs? Are we trying to shield them from the reality that women have legs and
they're
shoulders?
walking.
Also, lesbians never seem to get distracted by my shoulders, so I think that's really an issue with men.
Probably, definitely the shoulders are just too much.
My best friend is gay, and she's never once commented that she can't concentrate because she can see my shoulder. So I really think we should be addressing men on that issue.
I got nothing for shoulders.
Yeah, I don't understand that. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, even legs. Like, when we were 11, boys don't know that they're turned on by legs. They don't know.
We don't even know anything.
They don't know anything.
I like my chocolate milk. That's
Nope.
like that was like the highlight of your day.
I like kicking a soccer ball.
Yeah, like that was not a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I can understand maybe in like high school or something, like later years in high school, if they're like, maybe don't.
Well, we were told that in high school, too, and that made me even more angry. So when I was in high school, we did a sit-in to protest the dress code because we thought it was not fair that there were so many restrictions on girls and not guys. Like, I don't want to see a guy's boxer shorts.
Yeah.
That's odd though, because my high school when I went, so I did 2 years at Preston, and then I went to a Catholic one for grade 10 and 10 to OEC, and they had kilts.
Yeah, the Catholic schools
Catholic
in my
one, yeah.
board had kilts too.
Yeah.
I didn't go to a Catholic school, but
Like
What
kilts.
point? What point are you trying to make with kilts?
I'm just saying that was probably worse than shorts if that's what the if you
well,
want to
because they
get
didn't wear the
strictness.
kilts properly. Yeah,
Oh,
I remember riding that. Going like I used to ride the bus with Catholic kids, and they always wore the. But like whatever, do whatever you want. I don't give a shit. But I just thought it was annoying that we were being told that our education is not as important as boys, because we would be told to leave class and go down to the gym, and they would give us clothing to wear. Yeah, like like gym clothes to wear if our clothes were deemed inappropriate, or there was one girl that was sent home. So I had the potential to be sent home because of an issue that a boy had. That's his problem, not mine. I'm not doing anything wrong by simply wearing the clothes that are available to me in the store.
I wonder what the reasoning is. I really do.
It's all about controlling women. That's what it is.
Really?
That's what it is. This whole thing with abortion, the whole thing with dress codes, it's all about controlling and regulating women.
I guess she just dropped abortion in there too.
I got sent home for having a mushroom cut.
Yeah, it was too.
What?
It was, it was too punk
It was
rockish.
a private school.
It was a private
makes,
school.
Like they were just.
So
It's
that
like
was
devil's music.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Yep.
literally was the
Yep.
devil's music.
Yep.
Yeah. Those Beatles, man, they really were that.
Yep.
Those jerks.
I wasn't listening. to
So, oh boy, hot topic. So
This has all been a hot topic.
abortion. Is that a huge thing? Obviously, that's a huge thing for feminism. Oh man, there's so many. So, what's your take on it?
My body, my choice, period. No one else gets a say.
Yeah, that makes sense. For me, I don't have an opinion because I'm not a woman. So I should. I don't think. I
think you're the
personally-
only white man I've ever met that doesn't have an opinion on abortion.
I don't want to have an opinion. I could maybe have a religious opinion on it, but I don't actually have an actual opinion where it's like, well, I'm not gonna get an abortion. So what? Like, it's like me going not to simplify it. I can go anywhere and do anything, and so I can have an opinion on something like going someplace and purchasing something, or I can have an opinion on anything. But if I can't take part in it and it has nothing to do with me, it's like writing a research paper and not having any resources to write it for, or not understanding the articles because I don't have anything to write about it.
Yeah.
How am I going to write it?
Exactly.
I don't have an opinion.
So you wouldn't go pick up a sign and go walk in front of a hospital?
No.
Thank God.
I guess my only opinion would be but I'm like, this is my opinion. I'm old school. I really don't think. I'm gonna say this. I really don't think that people should have sex with 30 people. I think that's a bad idea. For me personally, I just don't agree with, craziness. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
But that might be like the one in 1,000 that are using that.
But that's a spiritual thing for me. I feel like I shouldn't I feel like that's such an important thing, and you shouldn't just give that away to everybody. So if I'm doing that like 30 times, that's 30 parts of myself that I've put out into the world that is not important. So I feel like that's just me, though. That's just mine. But
that's got less to do with abortion and more to do with your own spiritual beliefs, and that's something different entirely. And I don't think it's anyone's place to tell you what you should and shouldn't believe spiritually.
Yeah, so in that though, you can't. So I don't know.
But you're not going to go blocking the driveway.
I feel like there should be more emphasis on talking about premarital sex with like 80 million people. That should be the conversation. It shouldn't be about abortion. You shouldn't be picketing in front of like one of those abortion places. Women who are married get abortions. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not saying anything about abortion. So I'm just saying sex in general. I just think people need to change their views on it. I think. Not like a crazy conservative view. I just think people need to think about it a little bit more differently. I don't know. That's just me. I'm a little bit more weird about it. Just spiritual. I think it's important that we don't do that with people that we actually don't care about. That's just me.
That's fine. I respect that.
Yeah.
Although I can honestly say I've never had sex with someone I hated, so that's a good start, I guess.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah. That's just me. But again, like, what's with the picketing though? In front of the clinics, is like how are you gonna win somebody over like that?
Well, I think it's like
the guys in front of Starbucks with you. Like, how are they gonna win people over?
I think they're trying to pick
on. You know what? That's a good point. Next time I see one, I was gonna be like, has this ever worked? Has a woman ran and joined a convent as a result of you doing this?
You guys won me over with your yelling.
What are your statistics? I'd like to see those in writing.
Doesn't make any sense. Like, it's like, who are you going to win? Like, you're just doing this for you. Like,
well, they think they're doing it for God, but I think is what
I think God can talk for himself.
That's what I think too.
I think he's got a big enough voice.
If there is one, there's apparent evidence that he's been doing it. So if he wants to say something, I think he will.
I think he
just next time.
What?
Jesus loves you. Everyone else thinks you're an asshole.
I like that.
I have it as a fridge magnet.
But you know what, though? Men can kind of say whatever they want to people on the street.
It's true.
That would probably get me followed or hit or threatened or insulted.
You need some better guy friends hanging out with you.
No, I need guys on the street to leave me the fuck alone. That's what I need.
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't need men to protect me. I need to be able to walk down the street.
I'm just using that example how you were with that guy when they were yelling at you. He didn't do anything.
I'm not mad that he didn't do anything. I didn't really
want him to do anything.
Well, okay, so I was standing there, and he simply walked towards me saying that, and I said one thing in response, and then we kept walking. It wasn't like a stop, and
he like blocked your walking.
No, I miscommunicated that.
No. That's what I pictured. I just assumed.
No, and then we just crossed the street. There wasn't much of an interaction. Not like that other girl who was standing there.
Like Jesus said, "Goeth and fucketh thyself."
Like if somebody, I'm not like an angry person. But like if I was walking with my wife, oh my god, I thought of that. Imagine if I was walking with my wife.
Oh man.
And I like let her arm go, and I went to check my phone, and then this guy walked in front of her and was shaking a sign and said, "You are a slut." Game over. Ranger chokehold. Like that just would fire. Like I would have no. I don't have patience.
Be like, so what's it to you? Who cares?
What?
Who cares if she's a slut? Just leave it alone. Or like, why do you even have to use that word? Like, why? Why is it anybody's business?
See, you guys are calm. Like, my wife would be calm with that as well. She'd be like, "Well, isn't that?" But see,
Danielle would try and escalate.
Because we can't get angry, because then we get threatened.
Yeah.
That's when the mace. Back to that's when the mace comes out.
That's when the mace I've never had to use.
Should have just fucking maced him.
Disclaimer. No.
Yeah.
No, because that's assault.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
He fell into.
He didn't touch me.
He fell into the spray.
He wasn't that close to my face.
He fell into the spray.
He fell.
It was
just testing it.
It was an accident.
Sure it works.
Yeah, exactly.
See?
Yeah.
It was a product testing. You do product testing
This
for
is
the
an
internet.
excellent story. Yeah, well, I can't use this now though because this is recorded.
No, we're just kidding. We can
Yeah.
cut all this out.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
great. Yeah, just cut all this out.
Yeah.
Leave no
Unusable.
trace.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And
Well,
okay, this is where we're
So
starting.
this is not uncommon. Like I know someone.
Oh, this is where we're starting. I said some good shit back there.
No.
I don't want to start over.
No, we're not. No, we'll leave it in. If people get this far into it, they're dedicated and they like what we're saying. We always do that at the end of the podcast. So anyway, I know
She's not gonna mace anybody, and if it happens, it wasn't her.
and it's our fault. Blame it
Yeah,
on us.
blame it on
we
PM&A.
told
I'm
her-
not gonna say I wouldn't mace anybody. Just don't be an asshole and you have nothing to worry about.
Exactly. Don't be a.
Everybody, don't do it. I'm
Yeah,
not nodding
Yeah, we're not
right now.
nodding. Saying spray them in the eyes. Mace is nothing to mess around with. There's like bear mace.
Hold in. What's it? Like when you use a fire extinguisher in a sweeping motion at the base.
Sweeping
At the base.
At the base. It's not gonna do anything at
At the base of the eyes.
Oh yeah. I guess
See,
right in the eyes.
see, eyes on the prize.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god! You see those videos? Of those people like getting maced.
No, I've
they're-
seen the one where they
they're-
get tased.
Real
Well,
talk though, maybe I should practice because like, what if I'm attacked? I don't know how to use the mace. I've never used it.
See,
So don't do it on a windy day, and don't be downwind of it, obviously.
Yeah.
So, but maybe you should. Does it have like a gauge on it where it's primed?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a little.
well, I know
It's
where
like
this.
a little super small. You know what it looks
Yeah.
like? It kind of looks like a tire pump.
There you go.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like.
Do you carry it around everywhere?
I don't have it on me currently. It's in my school bag.
I know where there's a guy with a sandwich board in Waterloo that might want to help you test it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I see him again.
Outside Starbucks?
man. Just outside Starbucks on King.
Spiritus Sanctus.
I wish they could tell them to leave. I wish they would tell them to leave, but I don't think they should be allowed to do that.
I think it's funny when we do see like the guys like that are like us go up to those dudes and be like, bro, you
They
gotta
are
go.
people
You
like
gotta go.
that. People like that though. Honestly, they're one bad comment away from having the royal shit beat out of them. It's true.
And you know what? If there is a god, something tells me he's gonna be less angry with the gay person than he will be at the
Yeah.
person standing on the corner of King Columbia shouting at innocent women.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. Fair enough. I think people have an opinion and they don't need to always be shoving it down people's throats. Like,
But the other thing is too, though, it's what
Your
like
opinion is not equal to a fact. I think that's what a lot of people forget. You can have an opinion. You have the right to it. It just doesn't mean it's a fact.
or you have to tell everybody and they have to believe you.
Yeah, exactly.
it's like what Joe Rogan was saying. He says it all the time, though. Like when you've got such a high population of people that you have a bigger disconnect from the people that are around you, right? And you see that like everywhere now. So like when you get like that guy on the corner, it sucks, and I would be the one saying something, but it kind of surprises me, but not really.
Well, obviously, so like they're doing that on purpose at that corner, and
Mhm.
they know that they're gonna get
Because they know they're going to see university students in tight
Yeah.
pants.
and university students are people that are more inclined to have conversations because they're educated people, and this is, they think, and they're always talking, and they're researching. They're smart people. They're not gonna just walk by and go, yeah, I guess I'm a slut or I'm stupid. Like they're not gonna just walk.
So you're
by.
telling me there's no Winterhawks that would go to that Blarblucks?
Winter?
Was I
Hawks?
supposed to be saying Blarblucks all this time? Because I've been using the real word.
No, it's
That's
okay.
Oh,
It's
okay.
okay. We just do
No,
it.
no.
It's a joke.
It's a
Okay.
joke.
We just
Yeah.
don't like mentioning products because
Oh,
we're
well,
not
Starbucks
sponsored.
didn't. Okay, well, they didn't do anything wrong. I'm not
You
mad.
mean
No,
You mean Blarblucks?
Okay, well, it's too late now, isn't it? I've said
No,
it
it's
many
not.
times.
No,
It's just a joke.
We're not
Just
making.
edit out my voice and
Yeah.
put like you saying Blarblucks over it every time. It'll just like cut out
Yeah,
in the middle
yeah.
of the
Emily, you
sentence.
had a
Like a
weird-ass
bad
voice.
minute.
Emily had a weird cough. She had a frog in her
Yeah.
throat.
Sore throat that
Yeah.
day.
It's really weird. She kept saying, it sounded like Ernie for a while.
Yeah.
We had to censor her every now and
Her
then.
impressions are just really good.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh God.
She can only do the one word though.
So let's get back on topic. So another one of the articles that I was reading, it was the Hello Giggles one. It was the news how to talk to the sexist men generally. Sorry, the gender inequality one.
How
I
to
don't-
talk to the sexist men in your life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that conversation, I think we've already maybe touched on it a little bit. But is it a lot of people just being naive? You think?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think sexism is so much more like I said, my parents never once told me that me being a girl had anything to do with anything I did in my life. When I was a kid, I was like, I was such a tomboy. I literally picked out clothes from the boys section. Was never told I can't wear that. Was never told I couldn't play soccer or be in cadets or be into hockey or be into Star Wars or any of the traditional masculine things that I'm, in quotes, that I'm into. That was never a thing. But sexism is more than just telling girls that they can't do things because they're girls. It's your immediate reaction to things. So when I worked in 2018, I was working a summer job, and I'm not going to say the company because I don't want them to get negative anything, because they didn't do anything wrong. They did what they were supposed to do, in my opinion, in the situation. So when I was working there, there was this guy that who worked there. So I was there. I was hired on in the student program. So I was only going to be there for 4 months. So they hired a group of students in April, and we worked through till August. And we were specifically hired as students. They knew that we wouldn't be there forever. I knew I would be there forever. I had a contract, whatever. And this guy that I was working with in my department was very, very forward with being into me, or whatever you want to call it, flirting with me all the time. And at first I was like, oh, whatever, he'll get over it. And that was my mistake, was not nipping it in the bud immediately. But anyways, he kept going, and then just wouldn't leave me alone. It was kind of following me a little bit.
Was he older than you?
Yeah, a few years. Not much older. I would say late 20s.
Wasn't 60 or something?
No. Late 20s. Oh no, that was, I got shit from them too, but that was a whole different thing with the boomers. That's just I had one of the boomers who worked in shipping say, "How are you gonna get any work done? Because you're such a tiny woman and you've got nails." And I'm like, okay. That's fine.
Okay, boomer.
Okay, boomer. And that's why we say things like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, but back to this other guy who was not a boomer. He was very much a millennial. He would purposely put his workstation right beside me every time. And I'm like, you have so much space. Why do you need to be in my bubble? Why do you need to and it was too much. And then one day, and I'm not going to say what he said because it makes my skin crawl, but one day he said something to me that I just was like, nope, I'm not dealing with this anymore. I had 2 weeks left of my contract, and I was like, I don't care if it's 2 weeks or 2 hours, I'm not putting up with this. So when I was hired, the HR woman who hired us group of students and had our orientation with us, she said, if anything ever happens, I'm the person to come to. Just come down to the HR office, ask for me, and I'll help you with whatever. I'm your person. She was responsible for the students who were hired. So I went to her and I told her what had happened, and I was like, I don't want lawyers, I don't want paperwork, I just want him moved. That's it. Just a different department. I don't want him near me. I'm not dealing with this, and I don't think I should have to. So she said, yep, no problem. And the next day he wasn't in my department. So simple, and doesn't even seem like it should be a story. But I then told somebody in my life who was a man that this had happened, and his immediate reaction was, well, why would you ruin his career when you only had 2 weeks left there and that's his full-time job? And I said, first of all, nothing was ruined because there's no evidence that even happened. I'm not making this up, but I could be making this up. There's no evidence that this happened. I just went to her and said, I don't want a thing. I just want him out of my face. That's all I want. And that's what happened. And then I found out that he went and did it to some other girl down in that department. So
that's the thing. If that just lets it continue, he's going to just continue to do that and work there for 40 years. And every time there's a new group of students coming in, he's just going to be a creep.
Exactly.
That's why you do it. That's why you say
exactly.
that. That's why you stop it immediately, because this is going to happen forever. He's going to feel like it's okay.
Yeah, but like I said earlier, with it's kind of like knowing when to hold them and when to fold them. Realistically, I had 2 weeks left. I didn't want to get involved. I didn't want to start a process that would take longer than the amount of time that I'd be working there. And realistically, if I wanted to go through with sexual harassment in the workplace, it would just be a whole big thing that I didn't want to deal with and didn't feel that I needed to deal with, because I dealt with it. It was dealt with. He was moved. That's all I wanted. And then in 2 weeks I was out of there, and I would have never had to think about him again. But now every time I think about harassment in the workplace or male reaction to me trying to share things that have happened to me, this is what I think of. And this shouldn't be a story. It should just be something that happened, and I dealt with it, and I've moved on. But that was the reaction that I had from somebody close to me, and that really hurt me, because I was trying to just I thought that I was telling that story to say, well, not everything ends up being a big lawsuit or whatever. I said this was just something casual that happened, and it was dealt with pretty casually, and that was the reaction, that my comfort was not as important as his career. First of all, it was like what he was working in, I'm not going to say where we were working, but it's not a career. He was probably going to be there for a few months. It's like a job that has a lot of turnover. Yeah, so there's no way that was any kind of career, and that's why I don't want to say the
still,
company, because
though.
I'm not dissing on them. But
So he felt like it was okay though to say something. So he was like,
Yeah.
I'm in this place, and I feel like no one has ever called him out, obviously, or got him in trouble for saying something that gross, and he felt like it was okay. So he needed to be called out.
yeah.
Well,
Absolutely.
I did call him out. I did tell him no multiple times, and he would say just like, because some of it I felt bad for him because he was kind of awkward a little bit too. But then when he said the thing that he said that I'm not going to say,
Right.
that's when I was like, nope, this is slimy, and
No, he's just a
I want
fuckface.
out of this. Yeah, he just because he would say things to me like, oh, what kind of trouble are you getting into this weekend? I was like, I'm gonna go home and take a nap and probably eat junk food and watch Game of Thrones. That's the kind of trouble I'm getting into this weekend. But I'm like, who talks like that?
A
Guys
creep
don't
show.
use
A creep
lines
show.
like that anymore.
Yeah, he was just a weirdo.
but that's the thing though. Like, had you not said something, there wouldn't have been anything on file for him, right?
Yeah.
But then it didn't. Nothing got
They didn't
stopped
put
in
anything
yours.
on file to
and
my
then you
knowledge.
said something else happened to somebody else, right?
Yeah, because I ate lunch with all the girls in the student program would eat lunch together, or most of us would eat lunch together, and she said that he had got moved down there, and that he was being slimy to her and some of the other girls down there too.
And did you tell him to say something?
I did tell her. I don't know if she did. That's up to her to tell me
Yeah.
or not tell me. But yeah, I did. I said, well, I just talked to the HR and they moved him. But yeah, to my knowledge, there's nothing attached to him with my name on it. I didn't sign anything or give any formal statement. I just said that I wanted him moved.
But like you say, if you had said nothing, then this next incident, if it had been reported, it would have been the first one on file for him, right?
Exactly. Well, and whether or not it's reported or not, his boss and the HR rep knows he did it. So.
Well, it's like it's not the same situation, but Jeremy just about got jumped at a Papa John's, and I was saying
This
to
is
him,
news to him. I can tell by his face.
and remember,
What does this have to do?
Remember, but I'm just
I
saying,
see where you're going with this.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And I was bugging him because he goes, I dealt with it, and I'm like, no. I'm like, you need to call the police. I said, what was it? What if that was Nana at 1 o'clock in the morning?
Oh,
And
What's
some
Nana
guy,
doing
care.
picking up pizza?
Nana gets up at 1 o'clock. You don't think she's up at 1 o'clock?
She shouldn't, she wouldn't be alone picking up a pizza.
Our grandmother is up till
Anyway,
2 o'clock
I
in the
see
morning
what
playing
you're
cards.
saying.
My
right?
grandmother's a night owl too. When
Yep.
I used to live with her, and I'd be
Yep.
in bed, and I could hear her
Yeah.
downstairs watching stand-up comedy.
Oh, she won't be
at
home.
10:30 p.m. on a Wednesday.
She's out drinking while their friends playing card games.
Yeah,
My gran's
My
the same
90-year-old
thing.
Nana.
yeah,
My gran is the same.
yeah.
thing.
So-
Cards
watching
nights.
hockey and
I'm like,
baseball.
I know what happens at cards night, ladies.
So yeah. So, but Ernie's point is, I didn't do anything with this guy. So basically, he was obviously intoxicated on something, and he thought he could rough me up. But I guess maybe he didn't realize what I looked like or how I would react. And I had just gotten off a 12-hour shift. Was super hungry and was going. I get hangry.
Oh, he's the worst.
so
The
I-
anger wrath is
Oh,
real.
especially in
So-
the morning, you don't want to talk
So
to
I
him.
picked up my pizza, and this was in the middle of the summer, and I also wasn't wearing a sweater, so I was wearing a t-shirt, so you can see I'm covered in tattoos. I never get approached weirdly. Weird people approach me all the time, but just in a weird way, hey, you're funny looking. So anyway, so this guy tried to mug me. Said, hey,
I'm the opposite. I'll tell you that after.
he
Go
said,
ahead.
hey, give me your wallet. I'm in my car putting my pizza in the passenger. I'm reaching and putting the pizza down on my passenger seat, and I'm leaning over. And maybe he didn't get a good look at me. So then I just stand up and I look at him. I'm like, for real? And then I basically told him, I said, fuck off. In a way, I'm tired and I'm kind of sick, or in a way, he's annoying me. And then he just kind of looked at me and then ran off. He just didn't take. So I was it's almost like that scene in Weekend at Bernie's. you know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where the guy, it's give me your wallet. He's like, fuck off, it's too hot. That's the same kind of reaction I kind of had, and the guy just took off. That same kind of scenario.
So then he fucking calls me.
Well, did I call you to complain? I can't
Yeah,
remember.
you're like, you're not gonna believe what happened.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Because, I've never, ever had anybody try to do anything like that. Ever. It was so weird. Obviously, the guy was drunk or something. And so, Ernie's like, you should have called the cops. You should have done something. I'm like, well, I dealt with it. I don't know. I just
And he
wanted
ran
to,
away.
I wanted to
What are
go
you
home
gonna
and
do?
eat my pizza.
But that's the thing, though. So now he's gonna run off, And
I'm
you're gonna go
scared
do it
of
again
them.
because you
How do you
didn't
get people
report
to
it.
leave you alone with your tattoos? Mine are like a beacon for baby boomers to come over and tell me what a mistake I'm making.
No, nobody.
Oh, all the
no.
time.
All the
So
time.
that's something as well. Like,
And they get
we're
on me
big-
with, you're going to regret that when you're older. Your generation has the highest divorce rate. Don't tell me about regret.
I'm saving that one. I gotta write that down.
Emily's like got a
I
fast
love
gun.
that.
Ba-boom.
Emily, I gotta get your number
we're
so I
like-
can text you and be like, "This is what somebody said. What should I say back?"
So like,
I'm going to come back.
Yeah.
but we're like big
I'm
bearded.
in lecture. Quickly.
But we're like big bearded dudes, and that's so we don't get. I don't like that's something also like you can. They approach you more like people don't ever approach me to do anything, but like my wife as well. My wife got a new tattoo in her arm, and there's just, people are always like, "Oh, like that's like terrible. Like what do you like?" It's like
Your body's a temple. Temples have drawings on them.
we
the
had,
temples have the most art in the history of like all buildings inside. Like look at the Sistine Chapel. You
It's
weirdo.
what I'm doing instead of kids. Just leave me alone.
Look at that.
we had somebody. So I was off on Monday, and we took my little one out for lunch. We went to the mall, and there was an elderly couple sitting behind
boy.
us, and I could hear them mumbling. And the problem is I'm out in public, and I don't care about other people. I've got enough friends, so I don't care about pissing people off. So I could hear them mumbling about, "Look at those two." Then, because Danielle's got she's only got a couple. Now I've got it up my sleeves and up, so I could hear them like, "Look at those two with all their tattoos and that." And I turned around, and I'm just like, "Shut the fuck up." Honestly, shut the
Yeah.
fuck up. And the look on their face was
You swore in front of
he
Chloe.
heard me. No, hardly. She doesn't understand.
Were they
shit.
old? Were they older people?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Usually, yeah. That was a dumb question.
Can you believe that those parents are just covered in tattoos like that, and they're giving their daughter French fries? And I'm like, I turn around,
The French fries.
and I'm just like, shut the fuck up.
My
Honestly,
parents
shut
gave
the
me
fuck
French
up.
fries. I just turned out just fine.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
My gran bought me a mug recently that says "Tattooed girls kick ass," and I'm like, you can't complain about them anymore. You bought me a mug. This is a verbal contract right here. I
Yeah.
don't want any more comments because she took me out to lunch that day too, and I said about getting my sleeve finished, and she was like, "How many more of those are you gonna get?" I'm like, "You got a mug for me."
Yeah,
That's you telling me.
You said
you're okay with this.
Green light. There's a green light from
I was
Dan.
gonna do it anyways, but now
Yeah.
you can't say anything. You can't endorse
Yeah.
the movement and then diss the movement.
Yeah. That's like the coolest feeling is when like your Nana like stands up for you. So you don't know this story, but I was hanging out with Nana last Sunday. Kind of the same kind of thing. Our Nana is a very sweet. She loves us. Like she's like loves all her grand.
I think she loves my wife more than she loves me. I think.
Maybe. I don't know. So there's 4 of us. So there's my 2 other cousins. They're both dudes, like
Yeah.
6-foot giant men, and then my brother and I. So she only has 4 grandsons, and so they don't have tattoos because their dad would kill them. But Ernie and I are covered, and so she was out with her card night.
Yeah.
And they're very like a religious group, and one of her cousins was complaining, "I hate tattoos. Tattoos are the worst." And Nana's like, I wasn't gonna say anything, but then she said something about how all people who have tattoos are terrible people, and then Nana lost it.
Did she really?
She said, I went off on them. I have 2 great amazing grandsons, and they appreciate their wives, and they work hard, and they have upstanding lives. And she went off on her
Really?
one cousin, and supposedly she didn't talk
Good
to her
for
for like a
her.
week.
Good
But
for her.
but Nana doesn't like the tattoos, so we keep it on the DL.
There's a difference
you know?
between not liking the tattoos and not respecting the decision to get the tattoos.
Yeah.
Because that's where I think, because like all 4 of I got my first tattoo after my grandpa passed away, but the other 3 grandparents that I have never have. Well, my gran does it like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's not jokingly. Like I have told her that it annoys me when she does that, but she's coming around to it. But my other like my dad's parents have never once negatively commented on my tattoos, and then I go out
they love you though.
and then I go out in public and I have these boomers coming at me, and I'm like, whoa, the only of your kind that I'm exposed to are okay with this. I'm not familiar
For real?
with.
People like approach you?
Oh yeah, I've had people come up to me in public and be like, you're ruining your body. Lots of things ruin your body. It's not safe. Nothing is safe. Nothing is safe. And if you think that I ran out and got a tattoo without doing research, well, that's a risky game, let me tell you.
That's crazy. You've never had that?
What about my tattoos?
Yeah. Besides those old people. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
That's not a gender
Yeah.
thing, I don't think. That
Are
happens
you
to men,
proud of
too.
those things? And I'm
I
like,
sure am.
I'm like, have you looked in the mirror? Are you proud of what you brought out in public today?
Oh my.
God. No,
I got enough friends.
I've
It's
never.
gonna look dumb when you're old and wrinkly. It looks dumb now. It's
You look-
random blue ink on my body.
I gotta go into that. You look dumb and old right now.
Yeah. My skin's
Maybe
gonna
get some tattoos
wrinkly
that'll cover
anyway.
it. You know they do face tattoos. They could fix this.
Yeah. Plastic surgery.
No face
I've
tattoos.
Just not like Courtney Cox's plastic surgery.
She can get always tired. She could do the postpartum Post Malone. Was it always sleeping?
Oh man.
I don't know.
I'm tired.
I've never been approached about my tattoos in public unless people say those are sweet tats, bro. I hear that, I'm like, I don't know you, don't bro me.
It's one of two things. It's either a boomer coming up to me to criticize me, or it's a drunk girl at the club going, "Oh my god, I love your tattoos." There's no in between.
That was an awesome, perfect.
Yes.
That was awesome.
That's exactly how a drunk girl sounds and feels at 1:30.
Those are the ones that I get at DJ gigs.
So
100%.
I also don't like the ones that appreciate it and they start twisting my arm around like, whoa, I'm attached here. Like
That's the worst when they start
I've never
touching
had
it.
that.
They
actually.
start
well,
touching it?
well, when you get full arms, people just like come over and they like I'm like, whoa, I don't even know who you are, and they're like, I want to see it. I'm like, not for you, it's for me. Like, it's like, don't touch me. That's one of my biggest like pet peeves is like, if I don't know someone,
Yeah.
I don't like them touching me.
Yeah.
That's like what and so like you get these people coming up, so it's cool you appreciate it, but don't touch me. Don't twist my arm around. Like, I can only imagine
Personal
for, like,
boundaries. Yeah.
like I can only imagine like a guy like Bry, like our tattoo artist, 6'5", giant man, sweetest guy on earth, covered head to toe. I can only imagine he's walking like down the aisle, you know, like with his like daughters or something, and he's covered in tattoos. The looks and the things people say to him. Well, wasn't actually talk about like female discrimination. We had on what's her name?
That was assault.
Please tell me. I'm terrible with names or anything.
On himself?
So
Me Too, or
two
whatever you call it.
podcasts ago,
Oh.
we had a woman come on and she was talking to us about. So she does it's the Olympia. Is that what it is? Her name?
Oh, you're talking about Laura?
yeah. Laura came on and she's like, I don't know if you
I
heard that.
saw that on your Instagram.
She's covered, absolutely covered, and she went to her first meet and did like one of those Olympia bikini challenges.
Yep.
And she said she came in third or something, right? Or
Second. She got second place because of that.
So she got in second place, and the guy said, off, like kind of like side said, I would have given you first place, but you're covered in tattoos.
That's ridiculous. One thing that I've been told, my aunt told me one time when I got like the first part of this is gonna be a sleeve one day.
That's really nice.
That's really good though.
Thank you. But when I got to, there's a fun story behind this one. Anyways, I'll get to that one in a minute because that will get back to feminism and
All right,
unwanted flirting.
We'll bring it back.
Yeah, we'll bring it back. Anyways, so I showed this to my aunt. She said, "How are you gonna hide that in a wedding dress?" I said, "Jesus, who said I'm gonna hide it in the wedding dress? Chances are whoever I end up with is gonna have tattoos anyway. So how come he gets to show his and I don't?"
Yep.
You know how much money I spent on these?
You know
I
what you
want
can say?
everyone to see
You know what you
them.
can say? You normally have to spend so much on flowers. Now you don't need it because you already have some.
Yeah, I've got some. And I have nice ones. Like, I have a nice one on my back that I never get to show. So, yeah, wedding dress is going to be the time to show it.
My wife, exact same thing. She has a big tattoo.
And that's if I get married.
She has a
but-
tattoo on her back, and she purposely got a dress to show off her tattoo.
If you,
Yeah,
if you need a
absolutely.
DJ, let me know.
Oh, thanks. I'll keep that in mind in, like, 25 years.
Gotcha. I gotcha.
Just kidding. I have a time limit on me.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, 35. If nothing's happened by the time I'm 35, I'm giving up. That's it.
Shit.
Yeah.
You can just marry yourself. They do that now.
Or you can marry like
What?
Yeah, isn't that
Sounds like a fat waste of money.
you can marry inanimate objects like
Yeah.
I know. I've heard that.
That
Like,
Mercedes Benz is single.
That's all right.
I'm sure things will.
Oh, but the thing I was gonna say, so this
Sorry.
one that was sorry, I forgot. This one that I had done here. So these were actually done by two different artists. The flowers here. I know you can't tell because she's really good. Anyways, but this one I had done by a male tattoo artist in Cambridge, and so he did it or whatever. And there was kind of like some.
What part of Cambridge? You don't.
I'm not gonna
Okay,
say because
okay.
we're in Cambridge, and
Okay.
I don't want to expose. Well,
No, you can give him shout outs. It's
Is it a positive shout out?
no, because he's kind of scary. He might like come find me.
No. Who?
Well-
What tattoo shop?
Oh, I can't tell you because his name's in the tattoo shop.
Oh,
Okay,
never mind.
then no, I won't know what it is. Then never mind.
It's in Cambridge.
Okay.
It's, I'll tell you while we're off
Tell
the
her,
air.
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
tell you when we're off the
Yeah,
air.
yeah,
I like
yeah.
to talk shit about this guy, but
Okay,
I'm doing
yeah, we'll talk shit later.
Anyways, yeah, so he did this one, and there was kind of like some weird vibes when I was in the shop, but like I'm a feminist, but he's attractive, so I was okay with the vibes in the store. But then after a few months later, I went to follow up with getting another piece on this done because the intention was to do a sleeve.
Wow.
And he hit on me over message, and I didn't respond because I was like, nope, this is strictly a business transaction.
Yeah.
And he then didn't answer. He won't tattoo me.
No.
So I had to go back to my old artist and get her to, and then I learned my lesson because she's done most of all my other ones. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I can just never go to anybody but her. But she's pretty good though, because like all the ones that she did all look really good.
Oh wow.
Who did that?
Her name is Anna Piera. She's in
Okay.
Hamilton at Grim City.
Okay,
Oh, wow.
yeah, I've heard of Grim City before.
Yeah, she is fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah, she's really good.
Have you heard-
It's that's how it goes. Sorry, that's how it usually goes though. Once you find an artist that you like and you like their work, and even if it's not, sometimes they don't do exactly the style that you're looking for. It's you still appreciate their work, and it's things like that. Like I've got one that I want to do, and Daryl doesn't. I haven't seen a whole lot by him, but
Yeah.
I still trust him, and his work
Yep.
is amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Like you can tell like the styles on the one the back of my arm here is different a little bit from this one that she did, but she tried to match his.
Yeah, it's like a
And,
realistic.
and you can't even tell that it's
No.
two
It's
different
flawless.
artists.
Nope.
Yeah, she did
if
a
you-
great job.
If you didn't tell me that, I would have just assumed it's just the same
Yep.
person.
I just, yeah, there's something, like, she was telling me as she was tattooing this one, she was like, well, there's some things I would have done differently. I'm like, yeah, I would have not hit on me in Instagram Messenger. Can we just forget about this, please? I would like to move on.
I'm surprised he didn't put his phone number in the flower or
Oh
something.
my god, that's a lawsuit if I've ever heard one in my life.
Just put his face.
That's just
not,
ridiculous.
But that's not an uncommon thing. Like, dudes tattooing girls and then them being gross about it.
But but he was attractive too, though, so that's why I feel kind of icky about it, because it's like, but you give them an inch and they just take a meter, and I'm like, no.
you open the door a little
just-
bit and then they kick it all the way open.
And I'm
It's
like,
just-
no, just because I was feeling the vibes in the shop and we were the only two there does not mean that you get to like be disgusting over Instagram.
All right,
And he's not like a type that I would have dated anyways. It's just one that's nice to look at.
fair enough.
I don't know if guys have that or not. Well, you're married, so it's different, I guess. But, you know, like when you see someone like, oh, they're attractive, but would never be with them.
Yeah, it's a little bit. So that's an interesting thing. Is like married.
Or guys just like all go all the time.
No,
No.
no.
I'm-
Well,
I'm
not me anyway.
I'm too tired.
Not me anyway. I have
That's my mantra. I'm too tired.
I have too much respect for my wife, and I love her. Yeah, it's a whole different mental state.
I meant like in a scenario where you're not married, but or if you or like when you
Like in the
before
past,
you were
like when I
married.
was a
yeah.
dude?
Yeah. When you were a dude.
I can
Yeah.
walk through the mall and
Yeah.
just be like, it's kind of like you just, oh, that looks cool. I would never do anything with it.
I have
but
such
that
a
looks cool.
bias towards a certain type of I think so. What the society and what people think is a really attractive, I don't find attractive.
What does society find attractive?
Gross, blonde, just like that. You know,
I
that
will admit
typical-
I've always had blonde envy.
Don't, because it's disgusting. I that kind of person who is brainless and they're just like stupid and they have the.
But you're
the-
buying into the stereotype
Yep.
though, because not every blonde is dumb. My mom's
No,
blonde.
no, not just blonde. I just mean like that stereotype where if you saw a picture of someone and they look a certain way, where people are like, this is what the perfect woman is. No, I disagree.
All right.
Because there's like, if they can't hold a conversation, if they're focused on material things, like there's just a whole thing. I just
So if
like.
she's walking around with an encyclopedia and without blonde hair, you're cool.
I'm in.
And I'm not saying you, because, like, you're fine. But I just mean, it's funny, because so many guys say that, but I still see guys walking around with girls 10 years their senior with big boobs.
No.
Not that girls with big boobs and who are younger than their husbands can't carry conversations, but you know what I mean? Like, they say, oh, I'm not in it for looks. Well, you have to be in it for looks a little
Initially,
bit.
biologically, like, we all know.
That's-
have
yeah,
initial
factually
things.
not correct.
It's like, you're attracted. Like, I saw my wife, and, like, she's a brunette, and I like brunette, and I was like, that's my wife. That could be my wife. I actually said that to my buddy. I'm like, that girl's, like, awesome. And I had never met her before.
You had a Ted Mosby moment.
Yeah. It was hilarious. After my first date with my wife, I said to my friend, I said, I'm going to marry this girl. I knew it right away. Anyway, but, yeah.
Yeah, trapped her in your basement. And then once you just said
The rest
yes,
is history.
then once
The
she
rest-
said yes, I let her out.
Oh, my God. What were we
Then
talking
we
about?
filled in the pit.
Hang on. Well, I was going to have a point. And what was I just saying?
You don't find blondes attractive.
Yeah.
The stereotypical.
You don't like going through the mall and
the
talking to girls that
stereo-
don't carry around
the
encyclopedias.
stereotypical. Because I dated one. I dated a stereotypical
girl with a
pretty. No, I dated a stereotypical pretty girl, and I realized beauty is fleeting. So you might have that at the beginning, but in the end, it's just like there's.
She didn't have much of an appetite either.
No, they were just. Anyway, I just think that's a thing. I don't know. That's just When you're a dude, you can have that initially, but there's no substance. I don't know. There's no point in. I don't know. I'm a relationship person. I think. I am, because I'm in love with my wife, so I don't know.
Were you a relationship person? Like, would you try and...
Well, remember I gave the example earlier. The first girlfriend I had, I was head over heels, was ready to, like, marry her. And she was, like, in the back, was like, this guy's a douche. And, like, didn't, you know.
Even I told you, though.
Yeah, everybody told me that. Everybody could... So, it's a chemical imbalance when you're in love with someone. You're blinded. You literally are blinded by love because you're, like, you're, you know. Anyway.
Woof.
Well, you were talking about your tattoo.
Which
about how you were going to transition that into feminism.
It's gonna be a sleeve. Yeah.
That's the story she told about the creep.
Oh, about the
Yeah.
creepy
Yeah. That's the creep. Yeah.
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 Where are we at for time here?
I don't know.
We're at 2 hours and 15 minutes.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That happens a lot. We're
That's
just like
fine.
we're deep into. We get deep into like when a conversation like this just happens naturally, and then like but there's sometimes Ernie and a guy will go. Like it's like dead. It's just too much dead air. We can't get too far. We cut it real short. Not that we've had to do that, you know,
Never.
for anybody. But
We've always had good times.
oh man, what time is it though?
What time is it?
Emily, do you have anything else you want to talk about? It's midnight almost.
Close
Nope.
to
Whichever. I
midnight.
don't. I feel either way.
I feel like this should be a reoccurring feminist podcast where we have you on.
I think so. We'll
like,
come up
this
with
is
scenarios.
rad.
This is
Stupid-
rad.
Stupid things that come in my head, and is this funny or is this
Or
rude?
like things that come up and it's like we need the expert to come on and give us
Yeah.
the details.
I'm not an expert. I don't speak for all women. at
More of an expert than us.
Yeah,
though.
more than us.
all. All right. Well, let's just call me an educated person in the field.
Boom.
I don't have a PhD.
She's
I'm
the
just
female. She's the
I'm
female
just-
bro science.
Yeah. On what?
What?
The femin. No.
No, don't start.
Don't
no,
hurt
don't
yourself,
don't
it's
hurt-
fine.
don't
Okay.
go there. Anyway,
I'm tired.
Oh, but if you guys want to start getting into more like feminist like sources, that special Daniel Sloss's Special X is on HBO. So good. It was really good live too. The Guilty Feminist podcast is my favorite. I love that podcast. It's feminist ideology with Deborah Francis White, who's a comedian, and she's hilarious and fantastic. And they cover all different kinds of topics. The one I was just listening to on the way over here, actually, because I listen to it all the time, was Safety at Night. So I'm about 10 minutes into that one, so I'll finish that one on the way home. I'm a bad feminist because I could never read feminist literature. Like Tessa the D'Obervilles and like The Second Sex. Like I think I've tried to read The Second Sex twice, and I've made it about 20 pages in both times, and I can't do it. But Roxane Gay's Bad Feminist is very, very good. That's a good one. She touches on a lot of racial issues as well that I can't relate to, but it is refreshing to read other perspectives. And yeah, the articles mentioned in the Canadian Women's Foundation is a good source too for people that want to educate themselves, and not even just men, women too, because my favorite thing is when women say, oh, well, I'm not a feminist, I don't need feminism. Really? Do you like going to school? Do you like being able to have a credit card? Do you like being able to vote, get divorced, all that stuff?
that seems important.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It blows my mind when I hear women say that.
They don't need feminism in their life.
I had one manager at my old work, and she said to me point blank, she was like, Emily, are you a feminist? And I said, yes. What does it have to do with Big Macs? And she says to me, well, I'm not. And I'm like, that's
Cool, bro.
I feel like this was a loaded conversation. And she says, I'm an equalist. I'm like, that's literally like saying you don't like water, you like H2O. That and equalist is not a word, first of all.
Yeah, I've never even heard of that.
I've never heard of that either. I was like, well, this is not a hill I'm gonna die on.
Equalist.
No one to hold him and
Like,
no one to fold
seriously,
him.
like these pseudo-moralistic stances that people come up with, like, I'm like, seriously?
They're trying to sound smarter than the trend, and you
Yeah.
just sound stupid by making up words.
You're just trying to sound like you're something you're not.
And I don't work there anymore, so I can say that.
Awesome.
That she sounded stupid.
Flack Flonalds.
saying that to me.
Whack Wardles. Well, Emily, thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for
this
talking.
was a cool
I
conversation.
really appreciate the conversation. I hope other people at home, like we have listeners that could go, that was rad. They're gonna say this was rad too.
We'll have to do this one again. We'll have to talk about the different
Definitely.
sexes
I'll be
and
back.
All the genders.
people that identify as unicorns and stuff.
I do know. I know more about other things too. I could just go off on history
You should.
or Harry Potter.
Awesome.
Many things.
You're coming back.
You
home.
like Harry Potter?
You're more
We
than
all
a wizard, Harry Potter.
We love Harry Potter.
Oh yeah.
I love.
We were raised on the Harry Potter.
I
Expecto Patronum.
love Harry
I think
Potter
Ernie's
so much.
Ernie's not all books, but he is all movies, and I'm
yeah.
like all books and a little bit of movies. So.
Oh, so did you read the books?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you went to movies, did you have to explain stuff to him?
Well, no, we didn't actually go together.
Oh, okay.
I would go with like other people.
When we would go see the movies, my mom and I would have to explain the plot gaps, like with the Horcruxes specifically
Yeah.
and stuff, to like my dad and my sister because they hadn't read the
How
books.
did that come apart? Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
it's like, well, why did they do it this? I'm like, well, because actually this happened, and then the most confusing one is like the thing with the Voldemort's mother's ring, because they just kind of like threw
they
that in
told
last
yeah,
minute.
yeah.
They took that whole curse part like out last minute or
Yeah.
whatever.
They jumped
was
that
like,
whole
wow.
part.
Is Game of Thrones? Did they stick? I heard that they stuck to the books like perfectly.
No.
No.
No. Oh my
What
god.
was I thinking? That
My
there was
best
something
friend is
like
gonna
that.
listen to this because I told him to, and he's gonna hear
Yeah.
that, and he gets his blood boiling when he just calmed
about to
down
shit
about
his
all that.
pants.
I thought there
He
was. I
just
thought
calmed
they
down.
did.
Oh my god, I'm gonna
They
hear
went
about
left-
this
it went-
all over again.
It went left field. Yeah.
It was terrible.
Did it?
I didn't even read the books, and I was like, really?
Yeah.
That's
Well, the last episode made me mad.
the
But-
whole season 8 made me mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, this is what I crunched. Let me explain something to you.
Go ahead.
So, a Game of Thrones, I was harassed for years. My mom had been watching it since the beginning. So many of my friends watched it from the beginning, and they told me to watch it, and I just didn't for so long. And then the last season was coming, and I was like, fine, I'll do it. So, the season 8 started whenever it was in April or March or whatever. So, in 2 weeks, I watched seasons 1 through 7,
Sweet
so that
Jesus.
I could watch the whole last season like live.
Wow, that's
and I was
dedication.
like, I put my blood, sweat, and tears into
Those are like an
watching
hour-
this.
those are like an hour
I
each?
know. I literally all summer, all I did was go to work and go home and watch Game of Thrones.
Not a waste. 'Cause it was pretty
No,
good.
it's not a waste. Like, it's
Or I
some
shouldn't
quite-
say all summer, I guess, because I started doing that in March. Yeah, in
that's
2
some
weeks. in
quality
March.
ass TV
That's
right
some
there.
quality
Yeah,
ass
I
TV.
just condensed.
Oh my god.
And I was like, I feel like cheated, although I could only imagine what people who watched it for years would think.
Yeah.
All that investment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then people get mad about like the Starbucks cup and the water bottle and shit. I'm
Oh
like,
my God.
if as
Who
many
cares?
people signed that petition as they would for real issues, we would actually get somewhere, you know.
Yep.
Right?
They're not going to reshoot the whole thing.
Just because of a bloody cup.
Sophie Turner's doing X-Men now. She's married to Joe Jonas. She's not looking back.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
she's
either.
moving, she's on the road.
So-
I always thought I'd be
Turner.
jealous of whoever marries Joe Jonas, but I think I'm more jealous of Joe Jonas for
know
being
who
married to
Sophie
Sophie
Turner
Turner.
is?
No, sir.
That-
You don't know who Sophie Turner is?
that's her name in the show.
Which one
No,
is that?
Sansa Stark is her
Sansa's
name.
her-
Oh, that's Sansa?
No,
Yeah.
Okay.
I said he doesn't even know the name of the.
No, I don't know the actress.
Yes,
all right, whatever.
Sophie Turner, yeah.
Okay, that's the redhead
I have a
one,
girl
right?
crush on her. Oh, man.
That was the one that was married to.
She wasn't
to,
always redhead.
She was supposed... Yes, she was in
She
the
was
show.
married. She
was-
married Joffrey, right?
She was engaged
Yes,
to
yeah,
Joffrey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then yeah.
And then...
We're spoiler alert here,
Ramsay-
by the way.
Well, no, it wasn't Ram. No,
She was married to Ramsay.
yeah, wasn't that after?
And
She was
Tyrion.
promised.
Yeah, Tyrion.
Yeah. She was promised to Tyrion, but then that fell through. It fell short.
I'm pretty sure she and... Oof. I'm pretty sure she and Tyrion got married, though, but didn't
Yes.
consummate the marriage,
Yeah.
is what it was.
Somebody.
Well, he respected her, right? So
I love Tyrion.
yeah, me too.
My
Yeah, me too.
favorite
Top,
character.
my favorite character. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I said that once, and someone was like, "How do you like?" I said like this random quote one time when I was out drinking with somebody. Like, "How do you know this?" I'm like, "I know
drink
things,
and
and I know things." And they're like, "That's amazing!" I'm like, "You don't watch Game of Thrones?
No.
That was not for me."
It really is a whole other world. I couldn't believe I've been missing out on it all these years.
It's so rad.
Okay, so,
Subreddits are just... I love Reddit. I go down a rabbit hole on Reddit.
so explain to me the weird guy that had his
one?
tackle box chopped off. Remember? He was that guy's prisoner.
Oh, you mean
Remember? And then when he went and talked to the cripple boy.
Oh,
and then,
Theon.
Theon?
Yeah. And he goes, he said something, "I'm sorry I let you down." And he goes, "You didn't let me down." And then he ran at the White Walker and then died. I'm
Theon.
thinking, what in the fuck were you doing?
So
Theon.
Theon went through quite a character development.
Oh, 100%.
From like the beginning of the show to the end of the show.
Yes.
You initially hated him, and then really hated him,
Yeah.
and then you were kind of like laughing at him, and then you felt bad for him.
Because you hate Ramsay more.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
and then you went through this thing where so then you were like felt bad for him, and then he like ran away when his sister got caught.
Yeah.
But then he did like a 180.
Yeah, and he came back. But I'm just
and then
saying, but
saved
then he
Sansa,
just...
and then
But then he ran at the White Walkers for some reason and didn't do anything.
because he was just fulfilling he was coming to fruition with his full character development.
So he didn't do anything though. Like he didn't swing his sword, and he just kind of ran at him like.
Man, it was
You
just
gotta just... Did you watch
Did you ever
it?
watch the movie Ted?
Yes.
Do you remember when the kid ran at
Oh,
him
don't do
and then he
that.
punched him in the face and the kid fell over? That's what it reminded me of. I was
Aw.
like, he didn't do anything.
I don't know.
Well, that whole season was a mess. None of them did anything.
No, and
Jon
then
Snow
and
went
then
back to the wall.
Yeah.
and
Stupid.
the cripple kids. He's sitting on the Iron Throne.
Oh,
Well,
man.
he knows everything. He is the all-seer, right? He's like...
Did you see that picture? That
Yeah,
I
but they
sent you?
spent so much time talking about how
terrible.
he couldn't be king because he was
Yeah.
a three-eyed raven, and then
Yeah.
they changed.
And
it.
then Jon Snow was supposed to be punished, and then all of a sudden they sailed off. It's like, we're just kidding.
Well, he's also
So,
the rightful
spoiler
heir.
alert, if people haven't watched it, like, what did you guys
We've
think?
already spoiled
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Way beyond
That's out of the
We're past
bag.
that now.
What? So, like, when he killed Daenerys, like, did you see it coming?
I figured somebody was gonna kill her. To be
Stop.
honest, I knew she wouldn't be able to live.
Yeah.
I knew someone was
So,
gonna kill her. I thought she was gonna kill Jon, and then some.
Yeah.
I thought she would kill Jon, and
Yeah.
then Sansa would kill her. Is what
Yeah.
I thought was gonna happen.
I thought the dragon would kill
No,
Jon.
I thought. I call her by her real name, Macy Williams.
Oh,
her character.
Arya.
I thought Arya was gonna kill her.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, she already got the White Walker. You can't give her everything.
Yeah, but she's rad though.
Yeah, but
And
once
she got
they
laid in that season
once
too.
they killed me
Yeah,
Sunday.
that was a big, huge.
Once they killed the Sunday, right, or me Sunday, or whatever her name is, the girl that pushed her off the thing.
I feel like
Sa-
you don't use
Cersei?
people's real names.
Ernie doesn't.
Cersei.
Cersei.
No, the one that was married to the warrior guy. Remember, and she got pushed
No, this is
off.
Game of Thrones, right? They're
Yes.
all warriors. Okay.
Yes, the guy.
What are you
Excellent.
talking about? What character?
I don't remember her name. I thought her name was Me Sunday or something like that.
Oh, so Cersei pushed Miss Sunday
Yes.
off. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
thought
cut her head
immediately
off,
right
though.
after
Cut
that.
her head off, right?
No, I pushed her off the wall.
Decapitated her, and
Yeah.
then she fell off the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think.
I figured that was when.
Oh, you mean
Yeah.
Grey Worm?
Yeah,
Grey Worm's girlfriend.
yeah.
Yeah.
I figured he would have killed Jon
What was
Snow.
her real name?
Me Sunday.
Her real name is Natalia. What?
her
Yeah,
name on the
you're
episode
right.
was Me
I
Sunday.
don't know her real name.
Do you know
Her
how
name
I?
is Natalie Emmanuel, I think.
Do you know how I remember her name was Me Sunday? Because I saw they showed you a picture of her falling
it
off the wall.
terrible?
It's horrible.
Oh no!
They have a picture of her falling off the wall, and then you see a picture of a McDonald's sundae on the ground, and it says, it's got subtitles that says, "Oh no, me Sunday."
You're fucking terrible.
Oh man! Oh, that's nothing.
Isn't it awesome how memes have taken over the
Oh, I
internet?
fucking laughed so hard.
Oh
at that.
my god!
I love memes. I don't know why they're so funny, but I like.
I
laugh.
love dark jokes. That was funny.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got some real dark memes on my phone.
shit.
Oh man, I have an album on my phone called Meme Lord.
Oh my god. I that's like the coolest thing right now is memes. I just find them so funny.
Dark and inappropriate jokes are my shit.
All right,
It's so funny.
that's rad.
Oh, my car got broken into on Tuesday, and I was filling out the police report, and
No.
all they stole was a purse that was worth like $25. So I'm sitting there filling out the report with my friend, and I'm like doing what I do when I'm stressed. I'm like just yammering out loud and like making jokes, and I was filling out the thing, and I'm like. I looked at the thing and I was like, value of property stolen. Why do I have to humiliate myself?
Oh my
And
god.
he was laughing for 10 minutes, and I was like, it wasn't even that funny.
What was
You
in the
don't-
purse?
Nothing.
So that would they actually smash into your car?
Oh yeah, I picked like the whole window is gone.
No.
Yeah. Yes, but my dad was gracious enough to just have it paid for to get fixed, so
Well, that's
it
nice.
was fixed. Yes,
That's nice.
my dad's a saint, most of the time.
People are dicks.
Wow. Like was that where you were living?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Jesus, well,
That wasn't the point of the story. The point of the story was the
Yeah, well, you're
appropriate
saying
joke.
yeah, you're like what? I have to embarrass myself. By saying
Add a
that.
couple. Add a couple.
because it's
add a
such
couple
low
zeros.
budget.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, really,
1,300
they're the one who
2,500.
smashed property for a $25 purse with nothing in it. But
I had somebody break into when I had a pickup truck. They stole 96 cents out of a coffee cup.
yeah, they'll do.
Wasn't even a
They'll
dollar.
take anything. My uncle told me the same thing. That was the thing. Like my parents told everybody, and I was getting text messages all week from family members. Like, I'm sorry about your car. I'm sorry about your car. And then they would go into their own stories about having stuff broken into. I'm like, yes, people are shitty.
Yeah.
But it's weird, like when something of yours gets broken into.
It's a
You know
weird
what I
feeling.
mean? Like I got in my car for the first time, and I was like, I don't. Like it's
Feel
changed.
safe.
I feel different
Yeah.
now. I feel like a different person. I feel like a kind of virginity has been taken
Just
from
like
me.
the smash car window
Yeah,
virginity.
and like now every time I go down in the garage at my building, I'm like, I don't feel safe down here.
Fuck. That sucks. I've never had my car broken into.
Never.
No?
Nope. I've had like
I heard the alarm come out.
I've had somebody break off. Like I had like
I've set my own alarm off. That was embarrassing.
That's all right.
Oh, I do that all the time when I can't find it.
Yeah, it's like so. I used to have a Buick, and it was like a really nice old Buick, and I had like this cool Buick thing sticking on the front of the hood. Somebody broke that off. I was
Yep.
mad about that. I was like, "Hey, they stole it."
Yep.
But it was like an old man car, so
I think it was comfy.
Yeah.
Why'd they steal the door handle? It's worth money. I
No,
guess.
no,
What?
emblem.
You know the emblems that... on those old
that's
cars?
definitely worth money. Oh,
Like
fuck
the ones
yeah.
that stick up, they snapped it off.
Of course they did. I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often.
Well, most of those were like expensive ones that go up when you're driving, but then like...
Oh, those are the
Come
Rolls
down.
Royce ones.
But doesn't that happen with a lot of them?
Oh, the Jaguar ones.
I don't know. I've never seen
Yeah.
a Rolls Royce in real life.
Either way.
No?
No.
No, me neither.
No? I'm from Brantford. Where would I see a Rolls Royce?
Well, if it was maybe on the reserve,
And I live in Waterloo. Where would I see a Rolls Royce?
And it doesn't belong to them.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
Too far.
Oh fuck. Brantford.
Well, where I live is fine, but the rest is.
Yeah, it's pretty sketchy.
as long as you don't go towards the casino or any part past that.
Remember that one
Well,
time?
actually, the Laurier Brantford campus is actually pretty good. But yeah, anything down by the casino is sketch central.
Yeah, I was
May as
selling
well smash the
Remember that
windshield just so you have the fun
remember
of
that
doing it.
motorcycle I was selling?
Oh yeah.
So I sold a motorcycle, like short. We'll wrap this up. People are listening. So I'm selling my motorcycle, and actually
Well,
you
I can tune out. Whatever.
yeah, they can just like so whatever. So it's like
They're all still pissed about Game of Thrones.
Ernie's like so
I got them all triggered with the coffee cup.
So what we're
Reddit's gonna be on fire tomorrow. Sorry.
Fucking
I'm
me
sorry.
Sunday.
I'm sorry. Oh my god. Continue. I'm listening.
That's okay. It's okay. It's not that cool of a story. So I had to like drop off the motorcycle, drive it to drop it off, and then Ernie was following behind me. So we're driving, and like I kind of knew where I had to go based off of the map, or was I following you?
No, you were driving.
And then we're driving. I'm like, I look around, and I'm like, I turn around and look at Ernie, and he goes, like, stop it! Like, don't go any further. This is like a bad part. So we pull up to this weird side street. And this guy opens up his door, and it's like fall, and he comes out in like these like I don't know what you would call them. So you know when people like suspenders, I guess. He comes out with suspenders, no shirt on, and he comes out and is like, "Hey, how's it going?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, I don't know if we're gonna get out of here." And remember, you're just sitting there like, I think you pushed. He locked the door.
He looks at me and I'm like,
Oh my god.
So I'm going there to get like $1,600 in cash. And so he goes, sweet. Sees the motorcycle, I get off it, and he signs the sheet. He goes, I'm gonna go get you some cash. He opens up his, I guess his mailbox or something, and there was like this like brown bag in there. And he looks at me, like I was like, oh god, sorry, I looked at your cash. And he's like folding out the cash, and I was like, who is safe to leave this amount of cash?
In the garage.
And I'm
dealers.
like, my wheel starts turning. I'm almost like, I gotta get out of here. I'm like, yeah, man, whatever you got. Like, I was like, yeah, that's cool. He's like, do you want to count it? Nope. Grab the cash, and I go, Ernie. I'm like running to the car, and the guy's like, hey, if you guys want to like hang out for it, I'm like, go. And Ernie starts the car, just like peels out like. And we like get out of there. And I'm just like, I don't know, Ernie. I don't remember if you remember saying this, but I'm like, I didn't think you were getting out of there. I thought we were done. But Brantford is that sketchy.
Does
That's
that sketches you out? Oh
Yeah,
man, I guess I worked at a sketchy McDonald's, so like nothing. I'm not scared of much now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm very conditioned, very hardened from working
Tell us
there.
a cool story.
Well, I had a regular actually, because I was gonna say about the money. I had a regular that came through every Thursday. Yeah, Thursday night when I worked the overnight shift this past summer. Yeah, it was this past summer, and he definitely was into drugs or something. He had a nice
Yeah.
car, a nice watch, like everything, and would always tip me $10 on Thursday nights when he came through, just cause paid for this tattoo right here, most of it. Yeah, just saved it up for a few weeks.
So your tattoo admirer.
Paid for by drug money.
Your
Yeah.
pet was perpetuated by.
Sorry to
drug-
my grandparents listening to this.
Yeah.
My tattoo was paid for with drug money.
Nana, don't remember this.
Not my drugs though.
Yeah.
No.
Drugs.
That's awesome. That's a great story.
You weren't given drugs and then you had to move the drugs to get the tattoo.
No,
No, that was already
no drug
moved.
muling for me.
She was at the end.
But it sounds like if you had given him drugs, maybe he might have finished the tattoo.
Yeah. Oh man, that guy.
Creep.
I drive by every time I drive like back to Waterloo from my parents' place. I pass his tattoo shop, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if he's in there being slimy.
I'm gonna ask Daryl if he's ever heard of that.
I think I know what tattoo shop you might be talking about. You're going to tell us in
I'll
about
tell
5
you all.
minutes.
I'll tell you all.
Anyway,
yeah.
Thanks for coming on, Emily. And thanks everybody for listening. Sorry about last week's podcast. We had a little fudge up with the Evan Show one.
Yeah.
But like this one's getting posted right away, so we're not.
It's
behind.
coming out Saturday morning.
Yep. As in like tomorrow.
Up the press.
Yep. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Emily, thanks for hanging out with us.
Thank you.
It was
Hope
awesome.
to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. Cheers, guys.
Peace.